My brothers.
As
you see, we got the OG co-host back for George Romero's favorite fucking directed movie, favorite movie he ever directed. I mean, Martin from 1977.
You know I had to be here for the George
Romero
show.
This month would be tough for you, man, but I knew this was the one that there was no way.
Dude, I mean, I got my Day of the Dead t-shirt on. I've been like praying to the gods of Romero all day, making sure that I have the capacity for the knowledge and the wit that I will need to carry myself through tonight's show. I'm so freaking excited. I watched every season of Martin Lawrence's Martin as well. Just in case you guys want to dive into that, I'm so ready for this. Pop, pop, boom. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but good to have you as always, man. If you didn't see, I gotta throw it out there just to get you just gotta set the mood. Scarpad did a great unboxing last night for the Holy Grail Burial Grounds 4K.
Yeah.
I just had to say it before he says it because he'll say it. So yeah, I'm right next to him, and I didn't plan for that. I just wanted to get it out the way before we hear that all night.
I was gonna have a bottle of
tequila. Used to be one of my favorite 4K box sets, but baby, this one makes it even sweeter.
I was gonna have a bottle of tequila here and take a shot every time Burial Ground got mentioned, and then I decided that would be way too much.
You would black out.
Be 30
minutes in.
Yeah, you'll be canceled by the time we get to Fable.
Right. Robbie, you were able to get this 4K copy though, right? Like, I know the box set.
Mine's the is it only like Region B? Because I got the Region B one.
The Blu-ray is Region B. The 4K is region free.
Yeah, this is Blu-ray and the 4K all together, right? But what a glorious set. And this is a movie that it had a DVD release. And then that DVD, I had that DVD, but when it was like $120, I sold it. And I was like, they'll make a Blu-ray. It took forever for this thing to come out. So I'm so excited, man.
Yeah, I was waiting for this when they announced it maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Second Sight announced it, and then COVID happened.
Man, I wish you still had that DVD. I would have bought it on it.
That DVD,
I believe,
never got a Blu-ray.
Well, that DVD, I think, was the only version that has the Italian version on, Vampire, I guess it's called.
Yeah.
It's edited by Dario Argento and scored by Goblin in Italian only. I've been looking.
Is that a real
I was
thing?
I was
I forget.
naive back in the day,
Yeah.
and I thought that like every special feature from any DVD would be upgraded into the Blu-ray.
Right.
Mm.
Yep.
Which
I heard
I'd be
shipping.
curious to know if any made it on here. I don't think so though.
There's like the old school making of like documentaries, like 10 minutes. It's the one with Romero talking on it.
Yeah, there's an hour
Because
long
I was watching
documentary on
that
that.
Taste of Blood, that new
That's
Yeah,
good.
the new one that's brand new. And
That's
obviously
great.
Yeah,
Romero-
it's a bummer because you get you get like Rubinstein and Michael Gornick and Tom Savini does a little bit in there, but it sucks not having Romero be there to talk about it, especially this being his favorite film he ever
Yeah, he was in the movie.
Right. I can't remember where I heard it, but somebody that seemed like they knew what they were talking about was saying somebody else owns the rights to the version with the Goblin score on it, and expect there to be something coming out with that version on it in the nearest future.
I wouldn't doubt.
Yeah.
that would be
I could see maybe Argento owning it possibly.
you know,
As much as I love Goblin, I love the music in this movie. I couldn't see it being replaced.
yeah, the music's great in this film. And another thing is that this is a movie that fuck, what was I gonna say?
Oh, I bet it was
Lost it.
good.
Sorry, Scarpad, thanks.
You had me so
Hey,
excited.
Hey, blame the pharmaceuticals, man, not me.
Maybe I should blame that. What else? I was gonna say something. Anyway, the CD is on here too. The soundtrack, which is awesome. I love it when they put that on there because I have a CD player in my car, so that's nice.
The little
yeah.
special
Yeah,
feature bit just
that
on
is
the
always
music
fun.
is really good too.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing I was gonna say is there's like a longer cut of this movie that's like lost. You know, like I'm into like lost films that are lost to time.
Yeah.
And there's like a black and white, almost 4-hour version of this film that does exist, but it was lost. So I just hope that one day we can find that because apparently there's a lot more into this movie, like a lot more development, a lot more character study. So that'd be interesting to see.
Did you hear about that new release Vinegar Syndrome just did? Effects that lost George Romero, Tom Savini, and all his buddies came together and made this it's kind of like a movie about a group of people trying to make a snuff film. I think it is.
Well, they're making a snuff film
That's what I read on
unbeknownst
the
by
thing.
themselves. And the two guys are in this movie. The two guys they get killed, the bums, that Tony Booba and the other Booba. They're both in effects. The sound guy, Savini's in it. It's this whole crew from this movie went on to do effects, and a lot of them are in it. And it was a decent film too, not as good as this.
Yeah, I started it, but I didn't really get much into it. I got maybe like 30 minutes in. I was trying to see if we had any horror news before we really dive into it. Let me see. I know they were saying there was an announcement about that James Mangold's Swamp Thing describes project as gothic horror movie, which kind of gives me vibes of if Guillermo del Toro did a Swamp Thing movie. You know what I mean? I feel like that's where he would go, gothic horror tale. You know what I mean? They said Linda Hamilton heads to the Upside Down in Stranger Things season 5.
Oh shit, that's cool.
Insidious, The Red Door, rated PG-13 for violence, which I'm pretty sure
PG-13.
everybody knew. All of them, I think, are PG-13.
Are they?
It's such a bummer because I think if they went R-rated, it could take it to another level. There was another thing. I know, obviously, The Walking Dead Dead City had episode 2 air, so you can go check out episode 1 and 2 now.
I didn't even know one came out until last night.
But it had some dope, gory action scenes that Kraven the Hunter from Sony is going to be like the first R-rated movie, which you would think they had done that for Venom and Morbius, but
Nope.
Nope. And Evil Dead Rise is on Max, aka HBO Max, as of right now, so you can go watch that on digital. And
It comes out soon on video.
the last thing, there is a movie, which I know Robbie knows this director, Joe Lynch, Adam Green's one of his best friends. He has a movie coming out what is that called again? Something the Flesh, and it has Barbara Crampton. Suitable Flesh, it's called. It hasn't been released like to us, but I think it's been in like those, what are those, the film festivals, and so far it only has 13 reviews, but it's at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Definitely am excited to check it out. I know, like I said, what is it?
Well, it's at 100%, but the only people that have turned in reviews are Barbara Crampton, Adam Green, and Joe Lynch. So
there's 13 reviews.
Okay,
So they might have paid a couple buddies.
Adam Green's mom, and
yeah.
No, I'm excited to check it out, man.
Yeah, that should be fun to check out. So yeah, I think that is probably it for the horror news. So 1977's Martin, directed by George Romero. I never really grew up with this movie as a kid, though, but I do remember hearing about it and then never really being able to see it. So the first time I probably saw it was maybe like 10 years ago on YouTube, because YouTube, I think to this day, YouTube still has a copy of it online. And the biggest thing I always remembered from it and everyone talking is the ending scene with, the spear through the chest, which when you watch the movie as a whole, your shit kind of comes out of nowhere. But
he told him.
What was that?
The old man told him if he thought he killed somebody, they'd stake him.
Yeah, but he kills him for a different reason, because he thinks he killed that woman, which he says he didn't.
He killed him for the wrong person, right?
Yeah, the irony is that he died for a death of an innocent he did not cause.
Right.
Okay, yeah. Which that makes sense. Which actually I don't think I ever watched the full, like, the credits roll too. So you see him like burying him at the end and throwing the grass seed and then burying the little cross in. Yeah. And I like totally didn't remember anything about the family history with, you know what I mean? Like all the like that this whole family is basically cursed and that skips generations and that he's like 84 years old. But I love the fucking flashbacks in this, the black and white scenes. I mean, I feel like if this would have got some money into it, a little bit more money, this could have been his masterpiece. I still think this is I don't know, because I feel like it'll ruin my rating, but this might be like my favorite George Romero movie now as well. Me being able to finally sit down and watch it not on my phone, because that's how I always had to watch it, was on YouTube through my phone. So I finally have been able to watch it on a big screen, turn the lights off, put on the sound bar. Music and the score is just perfect for it. It's got that kind of classical vibe to it, but with the singing harmons or whatever, you know what I mean? It's kind of like got that church like tones in the background. I really like that, man. It gives just a creepiness to it, and I really love the background on this. I think Romero was really hitting something, doing something completely different, where he's saying to that reporter, on the radio news, which I think that was really cool too. And that was something I totally forgot as well, where he's kind of calling into the radio and they're like calling him, the count, and they're like loving what he's saying, even though they probably don't believe him. That he's saying all the shit from the movies is fake, that's not like that, and that this type of vampire is completely different, where you almost think, are they trying to say he's not a vampire, that it's like all in his head? But I think, in my opinion, he definitely was a vampire, or he was just so messed up in the head that he believed it, because he said he gets the shakes when he's not on it. Like,
that's one of the best parts of this movie. Is the ambiguity of it, right? Yeah. And like we that's a conversation we can have tonight, is whether we think he was or wasn't. You know what I'm saying? So that's cool.
Because I always thought, I think when if you would have asked me before today, I would have said no, I didn't think he was a vampire. I thought it was just maybe he was addicted. It was just he was a screwed up kid. It was kind of put on him. But I feel like with the flashbacks and then just like the setting of the flashbacks. It seems more old country. You know what I mean?
Well,
I know that
maybe though
but
there's
they're not flashbacks.
maybe there's a reason for that though. Maybe there's a reason why his flashbacks look like a Universal film.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like
that's true.
You know,
That's true.
yeah.
Which I think I absolutely love that look.
Solid
Like
set.
cinematography and everything is just so damn good. Like
Romero initially intended this movie to be completely done in black and white, but it was a hard sell to the distributor.
Yeah, I believe that. I wonder how much.
By the way, the distributor sucked on this movie, and that's why it failed. This movie should be like up there as some of the best 70s horror in my opinion.
I agree. I completely agree, man. That's why when the 4K came out for this, man, I pre-ordered it day one. I couldn't believe you didn't, Robbie. So I remember you ordered it on the stream because me and Scarpet showed ours up. You're like, I gotta fucking get that. And we were like, I
forgot to get my pre-order in, bro. And you guys showed it off. And I was like, fuck, it's already out. So like, yeah, right then and there. Luckily, I found one. It was only like $5 to $10 more than what it would have cost.
You got it for about the same because with shipping, I paid about 60 for it. I think maybe you paid 60 as well. Maybe 65. Okay.
65.
Yeah. I mean, dude, that was a great deal because I guarantee this sucker is going to be worth some money one day. As long I don't see anybody else putting it out. But yeah, man, I enjoy how this movie just starts, where it kind of really just gets right into it with them being on the train, and you see his, how he goes about it with, drugging them or drugging the women, kind of saying how important it is for the woman not to feel any pain and for him to use the needle. I think it's more for her to not feel any pain, but he even says to that radio host that, before the needles, it was super hard for him, that he was in constant fear that he was going to get caught every single time he did it. But I think this movie is freaking fantastic. The cinematography is great. It's like 70s Pittsburgh, so that's kind of like a landmark on its own. I feel like in this one you really get to see kind of like the neighborhoods of 70s Pittsburgh.
It's filmed in Braddock, which is a town right like down the road from Pittsburgh. But
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Pittsburgh. Okay, but I know Scarpet was making his jokes about Martin delivering meat, which I didn't know that was a thing either, which that was kind of funny.
I like to bring those divorced housewives some meat.
That could have been a good job back in the day.
Okay.
But I think who plays Martin? Is it Lincoln?
John Amplis.
John Amplis.
John Amplis.
Who's going to be at Scarefest this year, by the way.
Really? Dude, you got to get this signed by him, bro. You have to get this signed by him.
I want a picture of Martin signed by him. I don't like my DVDs signed.
Oh, really? You had Hatchet signed?
It's because I haven't met Adam Green in person. If I met him in person, I'd get a picture of himself from Holliston.
Oh, yeah. I just figured because there's not like any Martin memorabilia, so.
Yeah, but
he was
anyway,
in Dawn of the Dead too. So
he's in Day of the Dead as well. He's one of the doctors in Day of the Dead, and in Dawn of the Dead, he's one of the Latin people in the high rise. That he's the one that comes out and he's like, "Die, you pigs," and like gets shot up or something like that. It's really weird.
Yeah, I think this movie though really can't be done without John Amplis. I think he just gives off. I think he's absolutely great in this. He gives off that very young vibe. He said he was like 27, but he looks a lot younger. That very quiet, silent type, and his grandfather is just another perfectly cast guy. Which I thought he was like a preacher, but I don't think he is. I know he's definitely like a major man of God.
Well, he believes in it. He's a butcher, isn't he? Isn't he on the market?
Maybe.
Yeah, he owns the grocery store. He owns the grocery store, but he's a highly devout Catholic who believes in the old school stuff.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, it definitely looks like he had some heading in the community because they're in that bar and everybody's like rallying around him. So he's some man of importance.
Well, the what was it? as soon as Martin moves into his grandpa's house, he's just like calling him Nosferatu off rip. So it seemed like those flashbacks were kind of reiterating like the last time he lived at his grandpa's, maybe, I don't know. And or it's just about that family curse where they sent him off. Because I forget, I swear he says something about who he was born to in the old country. Doesn't he say, the grandfather says something about that? So when he says that, and then I see,
Yeah, he says who
like,
he says who his parents are. He mentions it.
yeah, I
Yeah,
thought
his mother committed suicide, I think.
I know one of those girls because they have that booklet, and one of those girls they said killed herself and tried to stop the cycle or skip the generation. But you also get George Romero, what future wife wasn't his wife at the time, I don't think.
Yeah, they just started seeing each other, I think, during the filming of this.
And what is it? Who does she play?
She plays Christina, and her name's Christine, which is
I know, like to Martin though, to the grandfather.
She's like his cousin or something, right?
Okay. I think she does great though. I think she's kind of like that voice of reason where she doesn't believe any of this, and she's like, "Oh, poor Martin, poor Martin." Like if he is the, weird and crazy, it's because you've made him this way by, basically telling him his whole life that he's fucking Nosferatu.
Well, she's lived in that family show. Even she wants out of it because it's a crazy household.
Yeah, definitely. But I really enjoyed this movie, man. I think it's really ahead of its time. I think if this movie had a few more $100,000, I don't know how much, they probably made this movie for absolutely nothing.
$75K.
$75K. I mean, dude, if you'd have give Romero like $250,000 on this, I mean, just imagine what he could do.
I know his career though, right? He never had enough budget.
Yeah, you ain't lying, man. I just think this movie, it's like I think this is ripe for a remake, but then I feel like it would get ruined. Do you know what I mean? It would be
they wouldn't remake this movie today, man.
They couldn't do it.
I don't think so. I really don't.
At least not the way it was made in the 70s.
Yeah, definitely not. Man, this is the one where I feel like Romero maybe even like if somebody ever was like, I'll give you $1 million, he'd be like, I'm gonna finally like perfect Martin. You know what I mean?
If we remade this movie, the only way to make it work is to cast Martin Lawrence as Martin and make it a blend of the sitcom and the movie.
Hell yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
I don't think this movie really needs a remake anyways. It's perfect the way it is.
It doesn't need a remake. It just needs to be known.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad that we did this because I've been meaning to really dive into this since I got the 4K, and I'm just ecstatic that I own this and that I finally like understand it more and that I've seen it on the big screen instead of just seeing it on my phone, where I kind of would always kind of fall out of like the story and everything, and I was just kind of more there for that ending kill. With now that I really sat down and watched it, I was like, holy shit, this movie is fucking really good. So yeah, I'm really glad that we're here to talk about it tonight. I was gonna have Vern go first, but it looks like he had to walk away. Steph, what are your thoughts on this? I go to Robbie.
Go ahead and swing it over to Robbie since he enjoys it. You guys enjoy it.
I want to like.
Well, that's what I know. Robbie loves this.
I feel like we've already been.
I feel like we should start off with the bang and let it.
I don't know.
Okay, Robbie, go ahead.
Y'all want me to go first? Okay. I really
Robbie,
table thing more than anything. But,
dude, I'm getting bad vibes already, Robbie, because
well, here's the thing.
This is what happens when I start off with really loving it. They're like,
there's a trend.
Go first.
There's a trend, Dylan. And for instance, this movie, when I was watching, like I haven't seen it in forever, so I sold that DVD I had, and somebody mentioned the 2004 Anchor Bay DVD. That's what I had, right?
Yeah.
And when I sold that was years ago. So I haven't really seen it since. Now, a couple years ago, I had a buddy. I was like, "Hey, man, can you hook me up with a copy of this?" And so I watched it then, and like, man, the more I watch this movie, the more I really fucking love this movie. And I wouldn't go as far as to say it's my favorite Romero film. I still think Day of the Dead is the king for me. That's an unpopular opinion. Most people would say Night or Dawn, or I think Night Riders is one of his best films.
I love Day of the Dead.
But this movie, when I was watching it this time, having revisited Henry last year, this has got a lot of Henry vibes to it, right? Just a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
A little bit of Henry, a little bit of Fade to Black, right? And I don't think I've ever watched Fade to Black and Martin in the same like year ever in my life. So I first came across Martin in the 90s when I was in high school. That's when I started getting into like Romero, right? And when Netflix came around, I was able to go onto the internet and find out other movies that these directors had done that I loved their work, right? Like, I love Dawn of the Dead. I love Day of the Dead. I love Night of the Living Dead. What else has this guy done? And then that's when I find out about things like The Crazies and Season of the Witch, and There's Always Vanilla, and even Monkey Shines and shit like that. And I was like, I remember Monkey Shines from when I was a kid. I was like, I can't believe the same guy did that. But that's when I came across Martin, and I rented it on Netflix. And I liked it. And to me, I always described it as one of my favorite unconventional vampire movies. Now, this is wholeheartedly a vampire movie, but it is unconventional because I would contest that Martin is, in fact, not a vampire. In fact, George Romero, who wrote this movie and directed this film, says he's just a messed up kid. And I think that when we get to the theme and what this movie's trying to say, whether he is or isn't a vampire affects the theme. And the fact that he's not really pounds home this idea of, if people tell you that you're something long enough and you're not developing yourself on your own, so all you're relying on is other people telling you what you are, that's what you become, right? Yeah. We become defined by those around us, especially family, especially religious family. So there's a lot of themes to unpack in this film. The more and more I watch it, though, the more and more I appreciate it. And I do think it's one of his best films. I think it's one of his most raw films. It is a character study, just like Henry, just like Fade to Black. It's a character study that makes us uncomfortable. And it should make us uncomfortable because these movies are important, because it's important to explore what leads somebody to this and how we as individuals, as a family, as a community, or as a society contribute to this. How we dismiss people, how we forget people, how we avoid people, how we ignore people. Martin, to me, is such a fascinating movie because it toys around with that idea of, is he or isn't he a vampire? But it's more than that. It's about a dude who can't connect to anybody. He can't connect to people. And I think the performance from what's his name again? I want to say Lamis for some reason, but it's absolutely fantastic. Tom Savini, early in his career, fresh out of Vietnam, coming in to make this movie. I think the effects work for the most part, not all the way through. I think the music is super solid. Now, it's one of the Rubensteins that does the music. It's Donald Rubenstein, very early in his career. But there's this use of like this ethereal synthy type stuff. But from 77, that's pretty significant, right? And the way it goes from like you were talking about, like a very old school kind of approach to a very choral kind of approach to a very ethereal synthy kind of approach really works for me. I think this movie is fascinating. Romero intentionally, he did Night of the Living Dead, didn't really make a buck off of that. He had a string of failures that failed to take off. And he was like putting together a formula. He was like, if I deliver a movie that has a punch every 7 minutes to 8 minutes, 9 minutes, something like that. And if you look at the structure of this film, it starts with a bang. Then it dips back down and it starts rising back up. And then it goes into the kill scenes and then it goes back down and it rises. It truly is masterfully crafted, even though this is edited down from a 4-hour version of this film. I think it's got a great pace. I think it's got a great structure. I think it's got brilliant performances. I love the music. I love the thematic material behind this movie. I love the exploration. Plus, there's more to it. It's about is Martin a vampire? I don't think so. I think the real vampire are the companies that have bled this town dry and have moved on. There's that subtext there. There's that juxtaposition between the story of Martin and his victims and the town as a victim to these mills and these, it's outside of Pittsburgh. And this is during a time where these cities are slowly decaying because these factories are going overseas. This was a real thing that was happening in these cities in America at this time. So knowing George Romero, knowing that he didn't just make Dawn of the Dead in a mall because it was convenient, that's part of it, but he had a message. There's messages attached to these films. He is a very socially aware filmmaker. This movie to me it's so subtle compared to other Romero films to me. I love the slow approach. I love the artsy nature of it. I love the way that he's playing around with editing it. I love that he allowed another dude to finally film the movie. He was not the DP on this one. He was the editor, and he then allowed someone to come in after the fact and help him edit it down because he told everybody, I can't edit the 4-hour cut down because everything hits. It's perfect. And they're like, George, that's not the case. I adore this film. I think it's great that it's finally been released again. Unfortunately, it's gone again, and the only place you can stream it is on Tubi. So this is a movie to me that is very important. It's one of Romero's best. John Amblish should have been a star after this one, honestly. And when it came out at Cannes that year, Mad Max and Martin were the two hot tickets. Well, that's two different stories of how the outcome, right? But this movie, when it first debuted at Cannes, was just as important as and impactful as Mad Max was. And I think that if we put it in its context and realize where it was, this is pre-Dawn of the Dead, right? This is pre-Halloween. This is a really important movie, not just for George Romero's career and filmography, but for horror, filmography, just a horror history, but also slashers. This is an early kind of prototypical slasher. We're still kind of figuring out this genre, but this could be defined as a slasher film with a maybe supernatural element that I love, which is ambiguous, but at the same time, I think it's pretty clearly stated that his problems come from a lack of connection and intimacy because of the way his family treated him, and how that ties into religion. I don't know. We can dive into that later, but suffice to say, I fucking love this movie. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me. The edibles are kicking in, just so y'all know.
We're gonna jump. Normally I'd go to Scarpad next, but I'm gonna jump to Vern, and then Scarpad since Vern might have to jump.
I mean, do whatever you want, but yeah, I think I'm good. I put her down. She's good.
Okay.
But
Dude,
I was
harsh. You put her down.
That's what they say. That's the terminology. But I do feel uncomfortable saying it. I will just say this, man. I was sitting there in the living room, putting the baby to sleep, watching the show, enjoying the show, and the whole time I'm doing the same thing. I'm fucking Larry David and Steph and Fable trying to figure out what the fuck they're thinking. When you sent it to Link, I'm like, yes, I want to know. Say it, speak. But all right, I guess we'll get to that. We will get to that. This is the type of movie that I fucking like, man. This has a lot of things in this movie that I like. It's a character study. It's got the slow 70s pace that I like. The fucking, as you mentioned, Robbie, the music is really fucking good. And today's the most I was able to appreciate it because I listened to it with headphones on. And it's just weird and quirky, and the ambiguity of it I dig. But for the most part, I love the movie. I think when it opens up, I love that scene right off the bat. Like, I'm really into the style of the film. And I usually, honestly, I'm not like the big George Romero, like, oh, I don't know. I don't put him on a pedestal. I know everyone does, and I understand the importance of him, but like none of his movies, maybe besides Night of the Living Dead, are like favorite movies of mine. I respect Dawn of the Dead. I like Day of the Dead better. This might be, like Dylan said, this might be my favorite of his movies. There's just something about it that I really dig the simplicity of it. There's not a bunch of
unique too.
You can't pick it apart the way you can his other movies. Like Night of the Living Dead, you can be like the middle section of this sucks. Dawn of the Dead's too long. Day of the Dead isn't as interesting. I don't know. But this one, it's like
the
for me,
Argento
there's-
cut of Dawn of the Dead is way shorter.
I get
the
I know.
superior version. By the way.
I've watched it on your recommendation. But before I forget to say this, dude, did anybody else look at this dude and think Mark Hamill? Like the whole time I'm sitting there picturing Mark Hamill in this role, even though like not like hero Mark Hamill. Like I don't want to go to Tashi Station, Mark Hamill, like little whiny Tatooine bitch boy Mark Hamill. Like I don't know, the way he's talking.
The serial killer with like the dark hair, had like the pentagram on his hand. He was in like American Horror Story in 1984. If you saw that, like a bunch of
the Zodiac.
That's who he reminded. Yeah, he was one of those killers. Like I don't know which one, but it might have been Zodiac. But that's who he reminded me of.
He's just weird, like what he's doing with his lips. Like he's just like does strange, quirky things with his mouth. His delivery is strange as hell. But like I said, I love the beginning bit. I love the scene where he does like the home invasion bit. And he's running around the house. That reminds me of moments in Dawn of the Dead, the way that they're running around the mall and stuff. It's just like you can see them, just like picture them getting in this house. Like, all right, what would he do now? Okay, he'd run over here, and if he did this, the way that they're shooting through windows and that whole bit is awesome to me. But
I love how smart he is in that situation. He tells that radio guy, he's like, most people make most of their mistakes when they're like enraged and angry, and he's like, I try to stay calm in those moments and really think about what I'm doing. And
another thing
there,
Verno kind of made me think of this again, and not to step on you, but like another thing I love about this film is this is guerrilla filmmaking. Like y'all know that I love the comics that are like done by like a 14-year-old scratchy, like it doesn't make any sense, but it looks raw and just like it's just like raw idea, right? This is just like they're in, was it Braddock? Did I say it's Braddock?
I think that's it.
Yeah, Braddock, Pennsylvania, and they're just doing it. There's no film permits. They're not trying to get permission for this shit. They're just like going out there and filming this stuff, and it feels raw because of it, and I love it because of that. Another movie that reminds me of this slightly, and it's not as sleek as this film, but it's got a Taxi Driver kind of vibe to it, almost just a little bit, man, just a little bit.
I thought that
trying to set Fable up, being like, "Come on, Fable, don't be too hard." I don't know what you're thinking.
The last
Mean Cities too.
I thought the movie, like it's not that I do like the ending. I like the way that he ends up being killed at the end and the reason why he gets killed. But I did think it fizzled out for me. It lost momentum after that home invasion bit, and it kind of just like I like everything that happens, but it's fucking weird the way it ends. Like it does feel like it just kind of like falls apart at the end, but there's nothing in it that I don't really like. It's just like there's some connector pieces missing in the final act that would make it work better. It ends and you're like, oh, wait a minute, what happened? And then the first time I watched it, I had forgot that the grandpa guy or the cousin, whatever he is, that he says it right at the beginning. I'm going to save you. I'm going to kill you. And if you kill anybody, then I'll kill you without saving you. So it is set up, but there's something weird about it regardless. But
I get what you're saying structurally there. It's the last like 10 minutes of the film. It almost feels like it rushes to its ending. And that's why I would really be curious to see that extended cut, right? To see like what
that's probably why it does. It seems short because they cut so much out of it.
But for the most part, I really enjoy it, man. It's rough in areas, but I like rough shit too. It's like I love live music, and that's what movies like this make me think of. Live music, stuff that's just like rugged and raw and not put together perfectly.
Yeah.
I just want to throw a station out real quick to Lulu. I see in the chat, so good to see you in the chat. American Horror Story is such a fantastic show. I've only seen the first 2 seasons, so maybe I should watch more.
You ever see Paid in Full? And then one guy, Fable, you've seen the Paid in Full. Yeah. He's like, "What's your name?" Lulu. What kind of name is that? I don't know. It's my name. That just made me think of that. I love that fucking movie. So we're gonna start with Steph because I feel like we might have to bridge it and then come back to Scarpad so we can end on somebody who likes it.
I love it.
Oh man.
That's a good balance.
People are a little bit more in line with each other, and I'm pretty sure I know how Scarpad feels about it.
Nick seems not to like them singing movies.
Fable has surprised me plenty of times. So,
what was that, Scarpad?
I said you don't seem to like those 70s introspective movies, but go ahead. Might surprise us.
To call them introspective sometimes. Some might call them a deep reach that you guys go for with some of these accolades you give these movies. But once in a while you will see a movie in a director's filmography that you're like, man, why haven't I seen this before? And this is not it for me. You guys didn't like the last part, the end of the movie? That was kind of like the best parts to me. I see what you guys are saying. There's hints of it. But then, Robbie, like I was thinking of Taxi Driver earlier, and you brought up Taxi Driver and was like, but I've seen it done better. And this just not jive for me. I didn't find the acting to be particularly done well. I thought the uncle or the grandfather was overselling it. I mean, maybe that was just the 70s, but main actor dude was all right, I guess. But
I thought he should have won for the Academy that year.
I wouldn't go that far, Dylan. Okay.
Different strokes for different folks, but in all respect.
That is a joke.
But I just found this movie to be quite boring, and I actually prefer a lot of his Romero's more popular works over this. This seemed a little bit like one of his first movies. It felt like to me. I guess that's part of the guerrilla filmmaking style that he was going for, but this seemed like one of his first movies. Yeah.
I don't think he was.
You guys are right, though. I did not enjoy this. Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe it was just. You know what I mean? That was just
Right.
Trying to save you guys from this from at the beginning.
Well, the ice cream truck is here to take you away, Link. So, yeah.
All right.
Ice cream, buddy.
Well,
it's on you.
It's all right. It's just heartbreak that you're feeling right now. But it's okay. It's okay.
Mr. Softy is here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. They park right outside my house.
I want an ice cream so bad now.
Yeah, go get me
I want a damn lemon cup.
Get me a cone.
Give
Get
me
me
a
a cone, man.
taco.
You want a hairy taco? What did you say?
Chocolate taco.
Chocolate.
Oh,
right?
chocolate taco.
Those things are the bomb.
What the fuck is a hairy taco? Whatever. Are we moving on to table now?
Yeah.
Somebody's
Yo, Scarpetta would be the one to say hairy taco.
That's 70s.
There was a hairy taco in this movie.
Jesus Christ.
Isn't he that Mexican pop star?
There was a
Table, my
70s
man.
term.
So what are your thoughts on this?
Go to Scarpack because this ice cream truck just got louder.
He really was like a bison. I love this movie too. I saw it for the first time when I got the disc. I've heard of it.
Fable surprises me.
But
otherwise, we're ending on a bad note.
I've heard of it, but of course it was lost for a long time. But when I watched it right from the get-go, it's right. This movie has a 70s feel and a 70s type of the way they made this film. That 80s was slick. This wasn't slick. This was pretty raw. And I thought right from the beginning that this is just a story about basically it could be taken as a serial killer, a slasher movie, and kind of like almost like a family drama because this guy isn't a vampire, I don't feel. He was raised through the screwed up family that had these type of stories and stuff going back. Convinces them that he is what he is. Even convinces them that he's 84 years old. He's not. The stuff that you're seeing in black and white aren't flashbacks, but just fantasies of what he's thinking about because of his exposure to this effed up family who even the granddaughter doesn't want to be part of anymore because it's just nuts. And I think it wasn't so much vampirism that was going through the family, but like mental illness. And it just got to this kid. He believed what he believed. So the beginning of the movie is just, him being a serial killer. And then every 30 days, he convinced himself he needs to go out and get more. And he's just drinking the blood to follow through on the whole idea. And then, and then we get the whole thing with the housewife and the radio shock jock talking to him. I just thought this movie was brilliant. And especially that scene in the middle where he puts on a cape and teeth just to flaunt his grandfather's madness is great. And it's all through that.
Got him killed.
I love all the smoke and shit on.
Yeah, I mean, you can take this movie as Vampire too at a certain level, but it's really just a story, I think, of mental illness, how it goes through this whole family and what happens. And the movie's very simple. The guy tells him exactly what he's going to do at the beginning of the movie. And at the end of the movie, he does it. You know, he does it for wrong reasons. Although the kid did kill 2 people in the city, just they were homeless. They don't count, I guess. So it was just they got to figure it's the wife killing herself. Yeah, I mean, it's just a great movie. I love the music. I love the acting, especially from the lead and the grandfather, and just the whole cinematography of it. It's a great movie that you can take on a couple different levels, and it's only 95 minutes long, which is whoever the editor was that took it down from 4.5 was smart. It was really lean, and I love it. I'd love to see the other cuts, but this is great, and I wouldn't remake it.
No,
It's one of those rare times where I'm like, I 100% agree, Scarpad. No contention whatsoever.
Guys, can I say something random while I'm fucking thinking of it before I forget? Yeah. Did anybody think that this actor, or I'll just say what I think. I've met many people addicted to opiates. This dude was on fucking like heroin or something the whole shoot. I'm telling you.
He could have been. You think he was strung out?
His pupils are fucking tiny. You can get that from smoking weed, but he had this heroin-y face on his face.
Heroin-y face. I love it.
Hashtag
it was a serial killer thing.
Yeah.
The
whole time I'm like trying to like picture Mark Hamill delivering these lines, and that's kind of funny. And then I start picturing this dude fucking standing on Tatooine and like delivering Mark Hamill's lines in the Star Wars movies. And that was way funnier.
In the 70s,
I could see them being like brothers or something.
Yeah, he just gave me that vibe the whole time. He was definitely because you can do things to make your eyes look a little irritated to look like you do that in movies, but I don't know what you could do to make your pupils die or whatever it's called when
there's
just make drugs.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, you could have been using Visine to cover the drugs up too.
Yeah, there's a drug called pilocarpine. You put that in your eye, your pupil will get tiny.
That was invented in '83. This was I'm just joking.
White ass lights. They were just shining at his ass.
Yeah.
You know?
Bruno's like, that motherfucker was on heroin.
That too.
Fable, my man. So, what are your thoughts on this, brother?
Well, here's the thing. I started watching this thing, and right away I got a little bit nervous about it because it starts out with a rape scene, basically, right? And you guys know, I don't know. Sometimes this rape stuff in the 70s is a little gratuitous, and it kind of little, too much sometimes.
Even though I don't think he did anything with her, but still, I see what you mean.
I think he did.
I mean, he's kissing on.
He does make
dude's totally.
To the radio host that he's never done anything with someone like awake.
Yeah,
that he's only done it with them when they're like on the drug, and we don't see him.
But to him, sexy stuff may not mean necessarily. We don't need to
with Fable.
I understand exactly what you're saying, Fable.
This movie starts out very creepy.
I'll just take you through my journey.
Right.
Yeah. On a first time watch, never heard of this movie, never seen this movie. I didn't know
disturbing.
Made it. Just watching it because we're watching it for DHS, and already it opens up with a rape scene. And,
like, God damn it!
One of the most haphazard rape scenes ever. I mean, this kid cannot get this chick under control. Martin needs a new drug.
See how much kick
I know, man. I'm like, this shit you're giving these people ain't kicking in quick.
That's actually one of the things I like, Fable, is that, in all these movies we see like the killer take out people very quickly. Like they put some chloroform on it. They like it. This shows how like awkward and hard it is to do this. Like almost
but
it shows like this weird like awkwardness about it.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. We later find out that this kid has been training. Right, like he's been doing this for a long time, so it's still it still doesn't make sense for how long he's been doing it. But anyway, that's not what I'm trying to say. That I'm watching this, and that's the first thing that happens, and it gets me worried already because it's like, you know what I mean? Here we go. Then we transition to him going to the house and meeting the grandfather, and I gotta agree with Steph. The acting was kind of off on this. I'm like, I don't know. This is seeming like one of those things again. I'm getting nervous about it. But I'm watching it. And then the black and white stuff just cuts in out of nowhere, like the Martin. And he's turning around, and there's these like weird cuts, and I'm like,
Martin.
Yeah, I'm like, what? what the hell is going on, right? Like, I'm like, what is this shit? I'm just telling you real how it is, just watching live. So then it keeps going, and then I start getting it, right? I'm starting to get it. This kid is either a vampire or he's a nutcase. One of the two, right? And they're kind of playing with both sides, and I get that. But the acting and the roughness of it, which is something I don't particularly enjoy. I know you guys see that rough camera, those rough edits, those, that grindhouse, really dirt look. And I understand that that's an aesthetic that people like. But me personally, it's a little too rough, a little too dated for me. I understand what he's going for.
Too,
yeah, I get it. I get what he's going for. And I got it a little too late, I think. So upon hearing you guys talk about it, I think I need to rewatch this one. Because there are themes and there are things going on. But ultimately, it wasn't enough for me to enjoy it as much as you guys. Like, I ultimately felt like it was a little boring.
I thought the same my first
the
couple
acting
watches.
A little terrible.
That damn first watch.
And that
I
ending,
really enjoyed it though a lot.
that ending, as abrupt
We'll get
as
it on
is,
multiple watches.
Yeah, I think that ending is a little abrupt and it could go either way for me, but I did get like a chuckle out of it. I don't know if anybody else got a chuckle out of it.
The ending, the ending was the best part for me.
This movie is actually kind of funny.
The shootout, that shit was dope.
Nobody in that town, and then you can see his eyes pop up, and the thing just at his heart.
And I think it could, not to kind of hop on the ending, when he's talking to like the radio DJ, I think that was like one of the more interesting bits of the movie.
I really enjoyed it.
And I think that could be more interspliced through a remake or something.
That reminded me of American Gangster. Frank Lucas was a huge drug dealer that never got caught until he started wearing flashy stuff.
Right.
Martin said, I started being more careful, but he's on a radio show talking about crimes on the radio. This is how he downfalls himself in a lot of ways. You know what I mean?
But one of the reasons why he's doing that is because the whole movie, all he wants is connection.
Right.
Which brings me back to the whole mental illness thing that I don't think they understood. Like, some people had certain mind things that we know about
diagnosed now.
Right. And I think a lot of these movies, especially the 70s character studies, a lot of them, these characters are similar. You hit on Taxi Driver, you hit on Fade to Black.
Fade to Black, man, big time.
There's a lot of that going on in the 70s. But again, just the roughness of it, just the datedness of it, the acting of it, and just because like the hook of it didn't catch me until like I really genuinely didn't know what was going on. That's why I feel kind of stupid when you guys talk about this movie. I'm like, I didn't catch any of that until like 45 minutes.
I didn't catch.
You know what I mean?
I didn't catch a lot of the stuff with the. I watched it 3 times. The whole town stuff that Robbie was talking about. A lot of that didn't really sink in until this watch. There's like a whole generational thing too. Like a lot of the thematics I didn't
all
get.
All that went right past me. But I watched it on my phone too.
Well,
I know.
That's why I said I think I need to rewatch, because a lot of the themes, maybe I'll catch it more in the beginning. And I do agree with you guys. I think he's a psychopath. I don't think he's a
vampire. He's not a vampire.
He's a serial rapist, serial killer rapist kid. You know, that I have no remorse.
I love to think that he's a vampire though, kind of.
Oh,
dude. I think if you think that he's a vampire, it gives you an out, right? And you can like the character. The thing is, this movie,
I always thought he wasn't a vampire though. Before.
What I love about these movies, this, Fade to Black, Henry, Taxi Driver, these Joker, even that's a modern kind of, almost in a way,
70s movie.
Yeah, Joker's trying to be like Taxi Driver mixed with King of Comedy, but even like King of Comedy, like it's not. Sometimes we can feel sympathetic and even empathetic to a bad person who does bad things, or a conflicted person who does bad things, and nowadays we're hitting this era where we're like that's why I don't think they could remake this movie and do it justice, because they would they would have to over explain something.
Oh yeah.
Or they would have to take the senseless rape out, because there's no need for it. I mean, he could just womp these people over the head and suck them.
One thing,
why would they have to over explain?
Yeah.
Why do you think
I
that's
think they would over explain today, because they would be like, oh, we'd have to over explain exactly. We would have to definitively.
Is that what they did with the Joker?
Yeah. I think they over-explained in the Joker a little bit. Like they went too far to let us know how bad his life was. In this one, they don't take us for granted. We have to put those points together ourselves, you know. But like, and I get what y'all are saying 100%. First time I watched this movie, I had no idea what the fuck was going on, right?
I didn't pick up any Universal things or anything. I didn't pick up on nothing.
Well, that's
so how did you guys start picking up on it? Like
2 or 3 times, so you're piecing it all together.
Don't smoke while you watch the movie.
As if you caught it.
You said don't smoke.
If this was on the first
put the pipes down, man.
I think for
I should have smoked for this movie. It would have made it more tolerable.
No, you definitely smoke because it kind of zones you into it more.
Well, I mean, with the way I piece together is just like sometimes a movie, like when I first watched this movie, like I didn't catch everything, but I had a vibe, right? Like there was something about it. I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's unlike anything else I've seen.
It's the repetition. Like Tom Savini starts talking about it. Him and the grandfather character, they have a few different conversations, and in all of them, they'll bring up the situation with the town. And like, there's not work. Well, there's work if you want to do it. There's not good, hard work. And that's part of the generational thing too. Like the grandfather was raised in the same way that Martin and the younger one were raised, where they were told it's like the religion in the family, almost the family religion. He believed it more. In this younger generation, they are the ones that don't believe in the magic or whatever. And that's the same thing with Tom Savini and them. And you know, there's just anytime that there's multiple things and they're all subtle, like Robbie was saying, like that's why they're not shoving these themes down your face. And there's not like a lot. It's just kind of loose laid in there. But then the whole setting of the town too, that lays it all in with the decay.
Yeah. See, that's a big thing Martin is always kind of flaunting in front of his grandfather, is that magic's not real. It doesn't exist, you know, with that little finger trick and all that shit.
You know, Romero
I
had
agree
this
with
idea.
the acting. Like it's rough, but it's not like it doesn't bother me, but it is like bad. Like it's amateurish.
It's amateurish, I think, only because Romero did a lot of takes, but he only did one take. Like he did a lot of shots.
Yeah.
He would film a lot of footage, but he would do like mostly one take.
Yeah.
And he
I
was
could
like,
see that.
"Oh, we got it."
Because there'll be strong acting, but then like still flub a line. Like the Christine character seems really the roughest one of them all. And the most he's over the top.
Romero ran a video production company in Pittsburgh for years during this time called Latent Image, right? And they would do like commercials and documentaries. Yeah. They did a very successful documentary series that was aired on Pittsburgh after Monday Night Football about like sports legends or some shit, right?
They did a Terry Bradshaw documentary.
Yeah, they did.
Correct?
So they would do like stuff like that, right? And obviously Pittsburgh is a sports town, right? It's a blue collar sports town.
Horror town now.
And we did a lot of beer commercials and stuff like that. And when they would film these commercials, these commercial projects, when they would have film left over, they would save it for Martin. So like all of the actors, all of the crew, they didn't get paid for this. They got points on production. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's one of the things, like, I get it. I get 100% what y'all are saying, but like, to me, I place myself in that situation, man. They are in 1976 making a fucking movie in Braddock, Pennsylvania. And by the way, the idea really solidified to Romero when he went and visited Braddock, because he wanted to film it in Pittsburgh, but then they were like, let's go to Braddock because you need to see what's going on there. So there was a dude named Tony. I can't remember his last name. He was a big deal in this movie. He has been making documentaries about Braddock, Pennsylvania for decades. Then he's still making them today, right? They filmed Martin's house, like the house he lives in with his uncle or whatever. That is this dude's family house. Like this dude's mom fed the crew and the cast, right? When they're filming this, there's like 5 people, right? I've been on these kind of small sets. I love this idea.
You have?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked in like small film and shit, but like it's all bullshit. Like usually it turns to nothing. To actually make something out of it that I think is artsy and kind of saying something, especially for its time, blows me the fuck away. Like blows me away. But I understand all of the criticism about it, right? I just am very enamored with very independent, low key.
I get it. I get this. But anyway, just to finish my thought, I just want to say that I think it needs a revisit from me, because like I said, I think you guys have seen this quite a few times and you kind of like built it up and now you're getting certain parts. But on a first time watch for somebody like me, I think a lot of people it's gonna lose a lot of people. My opinion.
100%.
So maybe after a few of them, my thoughts will change, my grade will change, but so far it's probably a little below meth for me. Because and Steph said something that I agree with. I've seen this done better.
I think all his Romero films, he had his family acting in them. So it is, a lot of them is very weak acting, but it's because of the no budget. So
well, that's why I say you guys say it doesn't need a remake. I say this is unique enough because you've seen this story before, right? We've seen this 12 Monkeys, right? Isn't 12 Monkeys just like this? Is he crazy? Is he really from the future? That kind of thing, right? This is unique in a way that's like, is he a freaking vampire?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know,
I think that idea.
This was exploring. What this was exploring, though, what 12 Monkeys wasn't, was this was exploring the whole background of this movie was exploring family dynamic and how.
But
why can that be done today's?
That crazy family can make you into that.
With a
Hereditary had fucked up family shit going on.
Yeah, and it might
all right, if A24 wants to remake Martin, they're allowed to.
Yeah,
right.
That's about it.
A24.
If Michael Bay comes out,
Blumhouse remakes this movie. Fuck it,
No
it's done.
Just say one last thing before. Not scary, guys. That's another problem for me. Like, this thing is not horror for me. It's not horror.
It's not. It's more of a psychological thriller.
I kind of hold all our DHS movies to that degree. It has to be a little chilling. It has to be, and maybe some of the stuff in here is chilling to some people. But you know, the rape stuff and the lurking in the dark.
Yeah, I thought
doesn't scare me.
The beginning of that was very disturbing. It was more disturbing than scary.
What's scary to me about this movie, Fable, is that there are people like this. There are families like this.
No, absolutely. But it didn't do it for me in that way. And I don't think it's a horror movie. I think it's more of a character study, like you said, with a twist. With you know, vampire. That's kind of weird, right? Like, yeah, I'm 84 years old, and
it's really you're right. You don't see many vampire movies that, like, we've seen, like Near Dark, that doesn't. It's vampires, but they don't lean into the mythology. This movie actually is kind of meta about the vampire mythology and playing around.
I like that.
Right, and I like the idea that this is a unique movie in the idea of, is he or isn't he? Like, is this just a mental thing, or is he actually a vampire? And the movie changes however you read it, right? So
I read it like it's he's
idea.
a serial. Nobody ever talks about this movie, and I think people hate it, but I remember really liking it when it came out. Mr. Brooks with Kevin Costner and
Dan Cook.
I never saw that. No.
All I remember about it is it did a really good job of like showing you the compulsion to kill that certain serial killers have, where like the itch comes and they've got to go out and do it. That's the way, especially when he's on the radio and he's talking about like he's getting close where he's got to do it.
Right.
It reminded me of that. Dexter plays around with that idea too. And it's like, I think it's like a real thing based on real serial killers, but they're they have a compulsion to kill. And he's basically feeding that compulsion, whether it came from the family narrative or not. He's feeding it through the family narrative.
It does almost seem like the guy who wrote Dexter, the guy who wrote it originally in the books.
Don't you do it?
No. The guy who wrote Dexter used this as an influence for it. This could be an influence.
Don't you do it?
Dexter
No.
Dude, let me ask you guys something else too, because somebody was on this earlier. In these scenes, like say when he's chasing the people around the house, he's got the couple, which I fucking love. I just love. First of all, I love that he shows up and the guy
shot me
like,
with something.
Don't make a big deal out of it because he doesn't know that that's not the husband. The cheating.
Like, that's like a funny bit, right? Like that's actually comedy.
Yeah,
like in the midst of this movie, like I can't call nobody. Nobody's supposed to know you're here.
Number.
Someone comes up and just injects you with something, you have no idea. Like that's a feel. Like
it is a miracle.
Are you rooting for him to catch them? Or are you rooting?
Really like that scene.
It is a miracle he's never been caught before. That last scene where he's running from the cops and all that haphazard shit happens around him. He's just fucking away with everything.
It's like
it was like, yo, this kid is the luckiest kid on the planet.
It's
like the Fast and Furious crew.
The end of it.
The kid of the black guy there to take the fall.
Dude, that very bit at the end when he's about to get caught, but all the crazy shit happens. That's almost like American Psycho, I think, right? Where you're just
I did the vibes from that. Yeah,
definitely.
Well, this is what I was gonna say, dude. I remember when we watched Better Watch Out, and the babysitter, she's
Great
almost
movie.
getting away, and I'm like, catch her, get that. Like, that's my mentality. I am rooting for Martin to get these people and to not get caught. And I'm just curious, like, that's what the movie does for me. It puts me on his side, and it works in the way that I want him to get them and get away with it. Like, am I insane, or does it work for you guys in that same way?
No, I think
I'm rooting for Martin. I
Right.
really.
No, I think that's what
You
the whole
wrote it
I've
for
not
first.
seen that.
I'm always
That's
rooting for the bad
that's
guy.
why that's why that first scene is such a disturbing nature, because it sets you up to know that, regardless how you feel, this kid's not a good guy. Maybe, whether he's done it because of the mental abuse in his family, or maybe he's done it because he's a real vampire. Bottom line is, just that opening scene is disturbing to the point where you're not. I feel you're never going to root no matter what happens.
Yeah, that totally cuts it off for me. That first scene, I could never feel for this.
So when
kid.
he's running, maybe
I
that's
don't
why
see
the
him,
movie
like,
didn't work
actually
as well.
penetrating her, so I'm just like, he just.
Well, it don't matter. He
He
killed
just
her.
lays naked with
I
her.
don't-
And just,
All right,
Drugged
I'm
her,
going
dude.
to
I
be
don't care if
bold
he
enough.
rapes her now. He's killed
I'm
her.
going to be bold enough to
Meet
agree
her
with
and-
yeah,
Verno.
he killed her, but he's a vampire.
I'm going to be bold enough to agree with Verno. I am on Martin's side in this movie, and that's something that happens. Like, there's an element in Henry where I'm on Henry's side.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm.
but the problem is,
Can't identify with
From
that.
his point
but
of
the thing
view.
is, no. See, here's the thing, and I get it. I understand. I get it. But like,
I get you guys' side too.
There's
I
an
don't think this
element
movie
where
had sides.
I think we're supposed to be empathetic to these characters, then be completely fucking revolted by these characters. And then that makes us question those elements
Then
inside
don't
of
start
us.
with the revolting parts. Start with the endearing parts, and then switch it on me.
I think it's
don't
more
start with the-
impressive though if
Yeah.
you do it the other way around. If you can show him that and
You
then
put your
still
cards on the
flip 'em.
table.
It's like,
Yeah.
remember
Well, that's
Lost?
it
How much
is.
you hated
That's how
Sawyer?
normally it is, yeah.
Like you hated
Breaking
Sawyer
Bad, they
first.
started off with Mr. Rogers and he turned to Scarface.
Right.
Yeah,
Breaking
I
Bad
think
is
that, so like
amazing.
it does start, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? So this guy's the killer,
Right.
and there's not a lot of movies done.
Listen, Taxi Driver did that. It made me feel for Robert De Niro, until he started going a little crazy and he's a little racist and this and that. And then he's like, okay, I'm not supposed to like this dude. But in the beginning, you think he's just an innocent, nice guy. You know what I mean? That is what maybe this movie needed for me to feel that way about Martin.
Right. I don't know if you could ever get there. I mean, maybe that's just the way you view the movie that you wouldn't. It was just because you had the same answer with the Better Watch Out thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're not going to get on the side of people once you've seen them do heinous shit. And for me, like I can still, and it's because of the way it opens up, and it's the non-black and whiteness of the movie. Or of the character. He's not just a serial killer. He's also
I can
this
still
little
enjoy
sissy kid that reminds me of Luke Skywalker.
I can still enjoy Verno because even though I might not like the character himself, I can enjoy the performance of the actor playing the character, and that'll pull me through. But guess what? This guy didn't do it for me. So that's another part.
See, that's the thing where, like, just inherently where I disagree is just because to me, I love this performance. Like, I love the performance, and the performance is what pulls me in. And obviously that's not going to be for everybody, right? And that first scene, and like, it's hard to put myself back in that first time watching. You know what I'm saying? Because it is such a weird film. It's unlike something we've seen before. It starts off where, oh, this guy's the villain. Now all of a sudden we're building him up. We're very confused about what's going on when he's on the train going to his uncle's house or whatever, whoever the fuck that Kuda guy is, right? And they changed his name in the script to Kuda. It wasn't supposed to be Kuda, but the butcher shop that he ran, like, they couldn't afford to change the sign. So the sign said Kuda's Butcher Shop or whatever. So they were like, his name's Kuda, whatever. And it sounded cool enough to me. But it's got so much like religious iconography in there as well. And it slowly starts pulling me onto his side, but when you watch this for the first time, it is kind of a mindfuck because it's structurally different than most of what we see. And it is very raw and brutal and awkward and clumsy with its like scenes of violence. And another thing I like is that the violence isn't sleek. It is clumsy. It is awkward. It is like, it feels more realistic. And I don't know if that's, the violence in this movie doesn't make me feel good. It's not like a Friday the 13th movie where a kill happens. We're like, yes.
I don't know, when a dude gets shot in the head, I thought that was pretty damn dope. I was like, hell yeah.
Good, actually, yeah, you're right. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there's, it's more where the killings are more, I don't know, they're more impactful because they're not just there to be like
they're not choreographed.
glamorized.
You don't feel choreographness to it. They're a
yeah, they
little
feel
more
even the one at the
live.
end. You know, even the one at the end, and I feel like what's the movie we just did with Tom Savini? What movie did we just do? Where Tom Savini at the end? No, but Tom Savini did the I went there. The timer for the hypnotist falls into his chest.
The intruder.
It's you and Vernon.
Two evil eyes. We did that, right? And the dude gets the
battery.
The metronome in his chest, right? That's like Tom Savini finally trying to do the end scene right, because he hated, like, if you notice that they pound the stake all the way down through and then they cut to it and it's like sticking halfway out, and Tom Savini was like, how did nobody notice that?
I didn't like that it was his stomach. Like, is this dude's heart in his stomach? Like, it was way too low.
Well, what it is though is it's very, that scene, and Scarpad and Dylan and some of y'all, all of y'all should know exactly what I'm talking about. That's a Hammer horror scene, right?
Yeah,
like the whole bump, and it's such a shock because at the end you're almost like, oh, he got away with it, and you almost feel bad for him because he's finally making a connection, and then she kills himself, and it's never been real for her. It was more real for Martin, but was it? Because then Martin goes, I'm kind of glad it's over, and then you just go, man, this is cold. And the fact that I had any kind of empathy for this character means that there's something inside of Martin that's inside of me. And it's only when we deny that shit inside of us when it really starts to come out.
Did you feel like that on the first watch, though? Or is this after a few?
No, I think on the first watch, I was just like, huh?
It was kind of like, man, yeah.
What I'm talking about.
Yeah.
On the first watch, I don't think you catching any of this, what you're saying. And that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, that's what
I've only seen it. I've only seen it twice, and I think I caught.
I don't believe it
the first time.
Like, I don't believe it.
No, it's not true.
That's the other big thing too. If you don't like the lead actor's performance, it's gonna be really hard to enjoy this movie.
You want a psychopath that was awesome? That's a rapist, pedophile. Who knows? Quentin Tarantino in Dusk Till Dawn, the movie we just watched. He's a creepy, bad murderer guy,
right?
But his performance is so awesome.
Right.
You can follow him through this movie. You know?
I like the performance of this. There's a vulnerability that you do see in Tarantino's performance, but this is like it's almost his whole thing is his vulnerability and his violence, which is a weird contrast. And like that's what the character's all about.
Well, the thing is, I felt
he got a baby face too. He looks like a little kid sometimes.
The violence,
that vibe.
And he talks like a little kid, like kind of high pitched.
I believe Martin could do what he did more than I believe Tarantino, because Tarantino was a cartoon in that movie. He was funny, he was fun to watch, but he was a cartoon. This wasn't a cartoon.
There's a lot of cartoon characters in this movie, though.
This could have been real life.
The grandpa's a cartoon.
Yeah,
the pimp at the end was the cover. It was a cartoon, a 70s kind of interpretation.
That was in for a brief second.
You know, so
Romero was good. Like I was surprised, dude. It's like a lot of these. Speaking of another director that can act. Like they could act a lot.
Romero was great in this movie, man.
I thought Romero was great as fuck.
Yeah, I thought he was really good.
I love it because I think it's part of the theme, but there's this disconnect between old spirituality and new spirituality.
Right.
That's going
on. That was Romero, the uncle?
Yeah. Romero was
the priest. The young.
Oh, okay.
He's just smoking cigarettes and drinking whatever they're giving him, and he's just like, "Wait, you think demons are real? Wait, what?" Oh.
Yeah, and at the end he's more. He loves it more because he just saw The Exorcist. What a great movie that was! You know?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the grandfather's talking about all this old shit that's going on. He's talking about the new movie that just came out.
Yeah. The way you did that, Robbie, where he does this, and then he takes the other hand and immediately pops something in his mouth.
Yes,
it's just like I just love that.
As far as performances, though, I think the sister, the daughter of the cousin, I think she's a standout in this movie. I think she was great.
That was Romero's wife for like over 25 years, Christine.
Really
to clear what I was saying about her earlier, and Dylan, like it made it sound like you thought I didn't like I do like her performance, and it's a solid character, but she has some of the scenes that they didn't cut and didn't edit out where you can tell if they had extra money, they would have did that again. Like she fucks her line up and it's unnatural. She's got a couple of
definitely
those
was
moments.
a trained actress. I don't think. No.
Yeah.
She was learning to be an actress,
Yeah,
I guess, or something.
She was
There
the
was
only
something
one
where
on his
she was-
side. She was the only one looking out for him. She was the only one that really cared about him.
You know what it reminds me of?
The character, yeah.
You remember Henry?
Yeah.
What's
I like to forget.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
she
Oh, well,
said
whatever.
that,
That's
he
an
said that
that's a good
Romero
film.
knew the girl that Romero ends up marrying, whether her name was Christy in the movie or Christine, that Romero knew her parents
First.
before she met him because they had filmed Season of the Witch in her family's house.
Hmm.
And
But
then
you know what's
something
funny?
came up and she needed to do something for something, and she went to Romero for help on filming something, and then he was like, I think I'll have a role for you, and at some point, and it was for Martin.
Yeah, then he met her in New York and was like, by the way, I'm separating from my wife. You want to go out?
Yeah.
Will you stroke my cock?
Jesus.
I don't remember what the hell was.
I've been very lonely.
One thing I wanted to say is
Wife made me
originally
sleep on the couch the last 6 months.
one interesting thing about the film is originally Martin was written to be like in his 70s, right? Or 80s. Like he was meant to be old. And then Romero saw John play in a performance on stage somewhere. And he was like, huh. And then he kind of recontextualized the story as Martin as a younger man. And I think it added a lot more to it. I don't think if Martin would have been like an 80-year-old dude, it would have had a way different vibe and it wouldn't have.
Well, yeah, and they also said that
funny, he met Tom Savini acting on a stage too.
Not only was he going to be old, but he was going to really be a vampire, no doubt about it.
Oh, really?
Yes, and then they changed to be ambiguous either way.
Yeah, and then once again, when Romero got to Braddock and saw what was happening there, it clicked to him the idea of the juxtaposition of a vampire comes to this town. This town's been bleeding itself dry already to a vampire.
Like Salem's Lot's vibes with the town.
Yeah. Well, Salem's Lot, Stephen King is picking up on a lot of that. A lot of this stuff happened back then when we were going into, corporations trying to cut down on costs and moving factories and shit overseas. And like, there are whole towns that are built around an industry that vanished.
Right.
Look at Detroit, what happened to there. Look at Pittsburgh, a steel city, right? The Motor City in Detroit. Like there are plenty of cities in this country that went through this. Blue collar cities that are built around an industry that then goes, and it's a slow death of this town.
That the interstate system. I know there's movies that they use that when it came through and towns died because they just got passed by. I can't think of any examples, but I know I've seen that in the movie too.
I mean, this kid took shit from everybody, and by the end of the movie, he's taking shit from the customers in the store, calling him a no good, lazy piece of crap. So
he is.
Yeah, but I mean, by the end, I knew he was pretty much ready to go at that point.
Definitely.
And can I just say, two character studies? I watched again this for a second time today. I watched half this movie this morning, and then I went to the movies, saw Transformers, and came back and watched the other half. And it is after I hate to say it, but when you go to a movie that basically, I love Transformers movie, but there's no the background and all the characters in that movie was so shallow. And I know it's an action movie, and this isn't. But I mean, when you come back and you see it,
I'm there for the Transformers.
when you come back to see a movie that really has depth and characters, it's just, to me, just very eye-opening. Whether you hate the movie or like the movie, it's just it is more interesting, and you do think about it more than I won't be thinking about Transformers tomorrow, but I'm thinking about this movie again.
That's very strong saying. I think Transformers would definitely stick with me over Martin. But
Transformers is a good movie, but it's probably one of the better ones in the franchise. But still, it just was.
No, listen, man. Everybody.
Well, everyone's got their
I enjoyed it. Transformers is good.
Everyone's got their own opinion.
Now they're gonna pair them up with the GI
different
Joe,
strokes.
I'd say really probably everyone's favorite scene is probably going to be that ending scene. I'm sure
Mine's definitely the home invasion bit, but I already mentioned it a few times.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That's probably my favorite
I
scene
felt like
too.
they should have been playing the Benny Hill song when that was
Yeah, I can see that. Do you get what I'm saying? We're like Dawn of the Dead when they're running around in the mall. It's the same thing.
Naked chick
Dawn of the
running.
Dead.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like when there's certain bits where they're like, okay, we're just gonna run down here and close this door, and if you run there, like it's just a lot of like again, I could just imagine them being in this mall,
Call
like, all right, let's just
somebody.
make
Who
up a
do I
weird.
call?
Call
You're
the
not
hospital.
supposed to be here.
Got some 70s bush in there. It was a little high contrasty, but you can see it.
Oh yeah, the bush was nigh.
And he like buries the
Nigh
guy
high by the 4th of
into the
July.
dirt and then just shoves the stick into his neck.
Oh yeah, the guy, yeah, in his throat.
Yeah.
That looked like it could have used some more money. Because if they would have had some more
Well, that's
money.
early Tom
That looked great.
Savini effects.
Yeah, and he used the same effect in Friday 13th with Kevin Bacon.
And the burning.
Yep, and
But
the
no,
burning.
He said, I guess
That's
there
why
was
he's
even like a
buried in
stain.
the thing because they're putting him and they put a fake neck underneath him.
Yeah, it's like
and
the
back
same
then
neck
he considered himself more. He was an actor. Just a miracle
Yeah.
they turned into a special effects guy.
He just said he was trying to learn well, he always did like makeup and stuff when he was a kid, but he said that he tried to learn everything he could because he said that growing up his father was like a man of many talents and he just thought that's what you do. You try to learn as much as you can about everything.
Well,
And-
I guess especially too if you're an actor and you're trying to get in there, you can say, "Well, I can do special effects too."
Yeah.
Gets him into
Well,
a
that's what
few
he'd
doors.
always say. He's like, the more you do, the more you get to do.
And stunt work.
Yep.
Yeah,
He's like the one that in that in the chase scene at the end in the shootout. He's the guy that gets hit by the car.
Mm.
Yeah.
What do you guys think that was in the end? The very, very
I
end.
don't think I've ever seen Romero's Season of the Witch, which it
I've
was,
seen it. I
aka
like
Jack's wife.
Yeah, I've seen it. I like it. I've seen the Season of the Witch cut because Jack's wife is a different cut, and the cinematographer on this film, Michael, whatever his name is, he's the one that recut Jack's wife in the Season of the Witch. But I like Season of the Witch. It's a little slow, but I do like it. There's Only Vanilla is one I don't necessarily like, but it's not necessarily it's not horror at all. It's a completely different thing. But
You know the freaking amusement park guy, the guy
He's
who
the-
plays
he's the
that.
uncle.
He reminds me of the grandfather in this.
he is. It's the same
It
guy.
is? Okay, I thought so. I didn't even think of that till just now.
Yeah, Amusement Park was a little bit, I think, right before this, right?
Yeah.
And Crazies was right, like literally right before this. I think they went from Crazies to this.
Yeah, I
It
believe
took
so.
a few years to get all the funding together, though.
Yeah. Robbie, you want to talk about the score before we try to get into what this means in the rating?
Well, I just think the score is absolutely brilliant. Like I said, it's one of the Rubensteins. It's Donald Rubenstein did it. He was early in his career. He said he was happy that it was early in his career because he didn't know certain rules, so he broke rules, and I like it. The movie doesn't have a distinct voice, but it has a tone that goes all the way through that is very appropriate scene to scene. So it does have those moments where it feels almost like a Universal movie composition, right? And then there are moments where it feels very experimental and prog rock, like one of those in between tracks, where they would be like, well, we got two good tracks. What can we do in the middle? Let's just fuck around on the synthesizer, right? So it's got that kind of vibe. I really like it.
Is anybody else getting that feedback?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
yep,
yeah.
I'm getting that.
Who is that?
I don't know.
happens
I was
muted
muted.
mine,
It wasn't me.
I still heard it. I was muted. That's
Maybe
Scarphead.
it's Scarphead.
Dad.
not me.
It's usually you, bro. He who never has a problem with his server.
The Witch is a really good movie. We covered that on Horror Fest last year here on the channel. You should check that out.
What did you guys think that was at the very end? There's someone that calls in and says, "I think I know who the Count is." Did you guys recognize that voice? Was it Christine? What were they talking about? A different Count? Was he reincarnated? How'd you guys read that?
I just figured it was someone in Martin's life maybe that had called in or something. But I actually didn't think too much into who the voice is, who it belonged to.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. It sounded like him. but it wasn't. Like it sounded like someone that sounded like him, like his similar tone.
Yeah. Oh, so I guess we'll get into the rating then. Anybody in the chat, if you want to throw your rating, throw it down below. Vern, what do you do if you want to throw your last thoughts? Maybe what you think the meaning of the movie means, or maybe I know you said your favorite scene was that
Yeah,
the kidnap scene or whatever.
I
But
would say just we've been talking about the family narrative thing, but that's something I just so like coincidentally I just so happened to hear like some conversation about just the importance of a family narrative, something I'd never thought anything about. But I guess statistically, like if you have, this seems like a hard thing to like to do a survey on, but supposedly if you have like a strong family history, if you've got a story that like my great grandfather sailed across here and he had this watch up his ass or whatever, like that is like one of the most strongest things that will help determine your success in life. Like your zip code and your family narrative are like the most
That's the
important.
movie I want to see, Verno.
Yeah. But I just thought that was cool, man. And I thought this laid that on in a really interesting way. Kind of like Scarpad was pointing out. I was kind of thinking of it like a religious type thing. They were indoctrinated at an age before they could make their own decision about or think about it rationally about whether or not I'm a fucking vampire. So that's the only way that you could get. He wasn't going to be convinced he was a vampire at the age of 20, but if they got him when he was a kid and convinced him, then they could. And that's so I was kind of equating it to a religion of a way. But oh god damn it, I don't know what to rate this film. I'm gonna give it a 4.25, and I almost feel it could be higher. But I guess some of the issues that we pointed out, like I love the roughness of it, but it's not a 5 for me. It's not an A plus. But so I'll go with 4.25, man. I really enjoy the movie, and I've said it before. There's something about the pace of 70s movies that to me allow me to want to just throw them on and put it on again, where there's not like these certain like I don't know, like a cookie cutterness of an 80s movie. Like it's not formulaic at all. And I like that. It doesn't get boring because it's not formulaic. Even though there's great movies that have a formula, you can still get bored with them sometimes because you got to follow those beats. This is different and unique in that way.
what was your rating?
4.25.
4.25. All right, Link.
Fun thoughts. This is a movie. Some shit happened. I probably will give it a rewatch. I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5.
Link gave that same review on my show a few weeks back.
What was the movie?
I forget.
You can remember what I said, but not the movie.
It may have been,
Interesting.
Mission Moscow.
I'm sure it was something trashy.
All right. Fable, what do you think?
Final thoughts. The roughness of it is what turned me off for the most part. So it's a little boring. I get all the themes. I see the cleverness of the is he or is he not. But ultimately the performances and the roughness of it brings it down a lot for me. So I'm gonna go 2 as well. 2 slips.
All right. Scarpad?
Just the opposite of how I feel. I just love that 70s roughness movies. I mean, you can sit there and they're just so interesting to watch because they're not overly produced and not slick. And just to see, and that's why I like another movie we talk about a lot on the show, Burial Ground, because to me that movie's very rough too, very
Take a shot.
That's a good example.
guerrilla filmmaking, doing what you gotta do to get the movie and the thing. But 70s
He's trying to put me on the side of Burial Ground now. Fuck you. Why are you doing that?
70s movies are very personal.
Vern's like, fucking, hey, now
and
I gotta
and they kind of talk
re-rate
to
it.
you in a way other movies don't. I just love the look of this movie, the acting in this movie. It's a horrible setup. It's a horrible act that happens in the first thing, but that sells you in the rest of the movie, I think. And to me, it's just a great example of a movie that doesn't have to over-explain itself. And you don't see that too much anymore, especially not on TV. things like Star Trek, where they have to like really hit you over the head with things now. This is written in a way that makes you think and make your own decision. 4.25 for me.
All right.
He's managed to take shots at the new Star Trek, the new Transformers. He's just fucking
And
got a
bring
list
up
that
Burial Ground.
I love the Transformers. It was a great movie.
I'm just kidding. I haven't seen it.
I'm so far behind on my movies. I gotta get caught up.
I know. Robbie, my man, what's your thoughts? Final thoughts and rating?
Man, this is tough because I want to be critical and I want to be like balanced and understand, and at the same time there's the fanboy inside of me, the Romero fanboy. I love independent filmmakers, and one of my favorite things about Romero is that whenever someone was like, hey, if we can just tone down these ideas, we'll give you more money, and he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. So I really respect that about George Romero. This dude could have had a career that was very successful, but he didn't. He's regardless of the fact of success financially, this dude is an iconic filmmaker. Yeah. That being said, this movie's not perfect in the slightest. But at the same time, I appreciate a movie for what it's trying to do with what it has available, right? Mm-hmm. I'm giving this a 5. I'm giving it a perfect score because of this. Every time I watch this movie, I like it more. Every time I watch this movie, I go, this is better than Dawn. This is better than Night Riders. This is better than Night, maybe. I just can't let go of my affection for Day of the Dead, which also I don't believe is truly a 5 you digs, but I give it a 5 you digs any day because I just love it so much. I fucking adore this movie. I think it's Romero's best use of music in a film. I think it's Romero's most personal film in a way. I think it is a very nuanced and complex character study. I think that it is the start of a fucking beautiful collaboration in horror cinema between Tom Savini and George Romero. There is so much that I love and adore about this movie that everything that I could nitpick falls the fuck away due to my Romero colored glasses. So I know that technically it's not a 5, but personally for me, it's a 5. 5.
Yeah. Gotta be honest with yourself, man. If you enjoy it that much, yeah, give it.
That may change next time. You never know. But for now, I'll give it a 5. I really think it's like super top tier. What do they call it? Is that S tier or whatever? Whatever the top tier is nowadays that the youth say. It's one of the absolute best Romero films, in my opinion.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh, and real quick, the theme. So much. We talked so much about it, right? But like the idea that what people tell you are is what you become, unless you can self-actualize outside of. It's hard to self-actualize outside of the response from people around you. So the importance here to learn is your family that you're given doesn't become your family for real. Like you got to choose the right people to be around, right? Like I wouldn't be as awesome as I am without these fucking people here. You know what I'm saying? Like I love y'all. I hang around good people. You know what I'm saying? That elevates me. It helps me not be Martin and be more Robbie. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Thank God.
There's that. There's the breaking down of this town, the idea that a vampire's in this town. Well, a vampire's already been in this town. It's these industries, these corporations that come in, suck a town dry, and when they can just dip out whenever they want, they can Stan Lee to the Jack Kirby of fucking Braddock, Pennsylvania. You get what I'm saying? They can just go and do their own thing, make their money somewhere else in a better way, and they leave behind who actually did the work. So that's there. This town is bleeding dry from a vampiric corporate and industrial organism or organization, right? The edibles are really kicking in now.
Yeah.
The other thing, though, is the religious connotation.
Yeah.
There is this thing about old religion
That's
versus
what
new
Scorsese
religion.
thing.
And you see this in the 70s. In the 70s, there's this widespread interest in the occult. In the UK, we had the rise of chaos magic. Here we had The Exorcist fucking freaking people out. And then we had people going back to church and other people going outside of the church and the contention that was going on there. So there was a generational thing going on with religion and spirituality in the 70s that is reflected very heavily in this film. And one last little tidbit, Tony's mom, who they filmed this movie at their house, right? They put in all this. The only thing they changed, everything was authentic to the house, but they added some different, like more like Virgin Marys and more Jesus paintings and shit. They had this really goofy, like plug-in 3D Jesus fucking thing, right? You see it in the movie. Tony's mom loved it so much, she kept it in the house until the day she died. So that's just a really cool bit of information. But yeah, the movie's got a lot of themes to unpack, and absolutely. But I'll give it 5. But I know it doesn't deserve it. It doesn't deserve a 2, but it doesn't deserve a 5 either. So I'm happy.
I can give it an enthusiastic 2. Can you give it an enthusiastic 5?
Yeah,
You just did.
4.25 all day, baby.
I'll give it an apologetic 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, there you go.
There you
There
go.
you go. Some of those acting bits. Come on, man.
I stand by my 5 I gave Bail Ground.
What did you give it? I
We know.
Pad. What'd you rate it tonight?
4.25.
I'm probably at about a 4.
Like what Fable said a minute ago, he
says
says you got to stand by your beliefs. I agree.
Yep.
Absolutely. 100%.
I'm probably at like a 4.25 as well, but I gotta agree with Robbie, and I gotta give it a 5 as well, man. I gotta stand up.
Shocker.
And I fucking I
don't
think
know, you guys make
I
me
didn't
sweat a little
really
bit too
care
much to
for it
give
as
it a
much,
5.
so my first watch, and then the more I've watched it, the more I like it. So I feel like the more I watch it too over the next few years, especially owning this 4K, the more I'll like it. I like, the uniqueness of it, and I think, a lot of his George Romero's friends and him always raved about this movie, and I think it's not for no reason. And you definitely got to be into that 70s vibe, the grindhouse vibe. If you're not into that stuff, you're going to be like Steph, and you're not going to really care for this. It's just not.
I think a great film should resonate no matter what era it came out.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, it shouldn't. You shouldn't have to be into that niche just for it to get its message across. You shouldn't have to do a deep dive
Not
into it for it to
even-
get its
Well, see,
message
the thing,
across.
Steph, is you don't understand what it was
It's
like
not
to
your thing. It's
drive
not
up
going to hit for
Kind of
everybody.
Yeah, we're not doing that kind of sunny shit tonight.
Some
But it-
people are
that's
gonna.
okay.
some
It
You
did
people
don't
resonate.
understand what it's like being
Us, though, you know
spanking
what I
it
mean?
in front
It
of the
still
green
worked.
house.
But I think what Dylan's saying is that's not your style of movie. But maybe it is. Maybe there's a bunch that are similar to this that you do like. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? But it
if-
did
I mean,
resonate.
if
Taxi
you-
Driver.
The Exorcist.
Taxi Driver is
The
so
movie
much.
that
This is not. This is like. Taxi Driver, I'd say that there. I mean, it's Martin Scorsese, one of the greatest cinematic movie directors of all time.
And Romero's one of the greatest
who never
horror.
probably even gotten $1 million to do a movie. How many millions has Scorsese been given to
I am
do one
curious
movie?
the
I
budget
guarantee
actually.
one movie to Scorsese wouldn't even count for all the money Romero has gotten for all his films put together.
Well, now we're talking apples and oranges and all this shit.
Right.
But I will say this.
Well, I think they're totally different directors.
I'm gonna those edibles are kicking in. So I'm going to be very bold tonight and give us a new bit. But the greatest psychological thriller of the 70s is Martin. Okay.
The budget for Taxi Driver was $2 million, according to this. But I mean, it's a different thing. But I do agree, like that's a good comparison because I thought that too. They're
will also say
comparable
that-
films. But Scorsese, I think, is a way higher level director.
Yeah,
for
I-
me
yeah,
than
absolutely.
that's what I was trying to get to. Is
Romero is
is
legendary to us.
Romero is
horror fans.
Romero is
I didn't
blue
have to
collar filmmaking, right? He's a dude who lived in Pittsburgh his whole life, started making film as a way to make some money, do some commercial stuff. Scorsese went to NYU. You know, he graduated. Like, there's a
Sam
big
Raimi.
difference. Like, there's a big difference
Sam Raimi.
between.
Oh, and by the way, Scorsese has made plenty of movies that are slick and well produced that still look rough.
Yeah,
And
Main
everything.
Street.
So there's-
Yeah,
there's
I'm
also-
sorry, I made the
Like
tax
the
driver
first couple
comparison.
movies in his career.
well-produced roughness. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right. Well, there's roughness with a budget
the
of 10
first
times
couple
as much
movies
too. You know what I mean? You got
those are the first couple movies of his
I'd
career.
kind of put Romero on that same ground with somebody like a I can't remember. The guy did Roger Corman. He's in that same type of mold where
exactly.
he could take a script
that's too
under
low.
budget, bring it in. What's that?
Yeah, no, that's too low. Roger Corman.
Corman's a
Roger Corman.
genius. You just wait till we do Humanoids from the Deep, man.
No,
They're
if you look at
around that
back
same
when they
budget
were
where
Roger
Corman was doing super low
Corman
budget
was more of a
movies.
producer that could just turn out movies that were so
The product.
profitable and put out movies under budget that would make so much money. But he also had a style that even all the actors coming up, like Ron Howard, all these guys studied under him because he knew how to develop and really do the whole movie making process.
James Cameron.
So Roger Corman,
Robert
Corman was an absolute genius. I'm not saying his movies, a lot of his movies are schlock, but that don't make him not a genius for what he did throughout the movies. And Corman and I think Romero had that same type.
But
of thing.
Are you
even on a lower level because he had really nothing.
Success or who he is as a legend in the game, or are you actually looking at the movie he made? That's my thing. Like, are you Romero? I mean, Corman you're not
has
watching
made
the movie. You know
Corman
what I mean?
has made some very good movies as well. He developed the whole studio system, is what he did. So.
Yeah, and then he'd have a lot of other directors do stuff for him and shit. But
I don't think
one thing I'm curious to know.
Director, but as
everybody knows Scorsese. All you have to say is Goodfellas, Casino. But if you weren't on this show, Steph, would you know who Romero is? You probably wouldn't.
I absolutely. Have you not seen Night of the Living Dead?
Of course, but
how the fuck would I not know who Romero is then? Like, what type of shit is that to say?
I would not think you've ever seen Night of the Living Dead.
I wouldn't have known the name before I got into horror.
I wouldn't have thought you've seen it before coming on this show. To be honest, that's just my opinion.
I know we make assumptions and we know it. You know.
I mean, I'm saying if we throw these names,
the first rule is we do not assume.
I'm gonna go check that out. I know. Well, I'm sorry, because I know you are a big zombie guy, so that would make sense for you to know his name.
I get your point though, because I knew what Night of the Living Dead was, but not who George Romero was before this.
Fucking Steph.
Romero's not really on everybody's lips. Like
I'm just saying. Sometimes we look.
Are you serious? You think he's somewhat?
Yes, because
he's not under the radar, but yeah.
No, because Romero is more genre fans.
I think what they're trying to say
than anybody else
is, Steph, yeah, you know who Romero is, but you may not have ever heard of Martin. I think that's
that's very true. I definitely didn't hear Martin until you guys. There's a lot of movies I haven't heard until you guys.
I automatically assume everybody knows who George A. Romero is, and if not, then I'm like, what? But then all you gotta say is like Dawn of the Dead, and then they're like, oh, that guy?
But see, that's the thing though. I think most people growing up, none of my fucking friends had ever watched Dawn of the Dead. I think that's even
Dawn of the Dead. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, the James Gunn one. Or the
if you're a horror,
I was born before. I was 16 when the James Gunn one came out, so I had seen a few horror movies before.
Right. You know what I think's funny is that he tried to make George A. Romero a thing, and some people say it, but most people don't. Like nobody's saying Michael Fox or Philip Dick, but most people are like George A. That doesn't sound that good, bro. Let's just go with George Romero.
The A is just because there's already a George Romero somewhere else.
Oh, is there?
They use, and if you watch any, go back and watch any of the old trailers for like Dawn of the Dead and stuff, they always did George A. Romero. They always gave that full.
Yeah,
I know
that's what it is in this, but even the title of the show is George Romero. I just noticed most people don't throw the A in.
I forgot.
You know what I mean?
The A.
Until
I was looking at the cover of this, and then I saw that they add the A.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just because George Romero was somebody in SAG or, something like that. Not SAG, like the Writers Guild or the Directors Guild or the Producers Guild. Or
he was also evidently Nicholas Ray's perverted teacher. Down in the comments below. Just
interesting.
I didn't make that up.
All right, though, and
yeah, I love the educational system.
Two Gun gave it a 3, and Evan gave it a 4.25. So 4.25, 2 from Stefan Fable, 4.25 from Scarpad, and Robbie and I giving it 5s. So I'd say, what do we got?
That's a
Probably
weird
like
Yeah, your math skills got to get sharp on this one, bro.
Right.
It's probably gonna be because them 2s gonna knock it down. I'd say
Bring it back down
probably
to
gonna
level.
drop
Them
down
5s
to
bring it
maybe,
up.
And the
It
4
might,
1/4 is
It's
lower
very
than-
apologetic 5s.
Never
um,
Me and Scarpack got the Goldilocks scores.
I'd say 3.869.
There you
It's a little high, but
That's
I'll
it.
take it.
Well, I was
That's
gonna
heavy
say,
bullshit.
I
You
was
gotta
gonna
get
say
69
just
in
like
there
straight
somewhere.
up 3.69.
I bet it's
I
not.
thought maybe
don't
the
think it's not.
5s might heighten it out. We'll see. 'Cause
Two gun
usually
calculators,
doesn't
brother.
have
Only
to-
someone had a calculator or a
Those
I
twos
don't have
definitely
my
balance
phone
it
on me.
out.
None of us have a computer in front of us, by the way.
This fucking iPad does not have a calculator. I'm sure I could download one, but it's like, really? They didn't. They
It doesn't
took
come
the
with a
calculator. No.
yeah.
You kidding
You
me?
forgot the calculator? What?
For a
Yeah.
while there, they didn't come with one.
3.71.
Ah.
Two gun says.
I
Very
was
good.
gonna say literally 3.69.
Yeah,
too, like
3.69
flat.
would have been closer, but yeah.
And
Dang it.
if Robbie and Dylan gave their actual scores, it would be even lower.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Those saving grace scores.
He wonders. He wonders why the slip or whatever it is falling off a cliff in Valley. He doesn't understand. He doesn't get it.
Hey, the Yadig has
Currency
maintained
exchange.
its strength. That's all I'm trying to say.
It was fluctuating, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah. The only thing I don't know about really is this letter grading system. It's a little fucking fishy.
I know.
Hey, man, it's catching.
Well,
It's
we're
trying to be
doing
different,
The
man.
best part,
Me
though,
and Link
is
are
the
doing it on
conversation.
on a comic book show. Verno stole it from Dylan. So you can go ahead and
I
do it.
did.
And you stole it from Bert.
Not only did I
I
steal
stole
it
it
from
from
Dylan,
Verno.
Dylan
Absolutely.
said the idea. I said it was a bad idea, and then
And then he did it.
That's how you get. That's how you do it.
As long as you do that first, that fucking idea sucks. I'm gonna do it next week.
I
Oh
tell
my
you one
God,
thing
it's
about Martin.
fucking genius.
Thing about Martin. Martin inspired an hour and 45-minute conversation. So
100%, bro.
We've had longer.
Yeah, buddy.
Applause.
Longer than the movie.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that 4.5 hour cut. I had no idea it was actually 4.5 fucking
I want to
hours.
see the Italian one with
We talked as
Argento
long
and
as
Goblin.
we did.
If anybody
It
out
would
there in
be
the audience
interesting.
has that, contact one of us. We wanna see
So-
it.
To see the Goblin score would be really interesting. 100%.
One
Yeah, I don't
interesting
think I'd
thing-
like it.
Completely.
One interesting thing about that extended cut is allegedly it was dropped off to someone years ago. They actually
they
put this
burned
at the end of that documentary
Yeah, they burned it.
on the Blu-ray, and it's like they turned it in. They said that they found it. Romero had left it at a farm, and that kind of goes with like what everybody remembers from the last time they saw the film. So Romero took it to go show somebody in Europe. It was left in a farm in Europe. They allegedly returned it. Nobody's heard shit since.
Wow.
Wow.
But
It'll come
John
out.
Ambliss is going to be at Scarefest this year. And so I'll ask him if he knows any
Hmm.
Yeah.
information.
Grind and be like, motherfucker.
I'll grind into him, bro. You know who they just announced, by the way, for Scarefest?
Who?
Adrian Barbeau,
Oh, really?
Ooh, cool.
brother.
She
Don't know
looks
how
a lot.
excited
You know
I
that.
am.
You know
I'm
that
jealous.
scene in the movie with the creature in the box and Creepshow.
Yeah.
She kind of almost looks
I was
like
watching
that
that the
now,
other night.
unfortunately.
Jesus.
Watch
Fuck
your
up,
mouth, bro.
Scarphead.
You watch your mouth, brother.
I don't want to tell you who you look like.
And
from
John
the video,
Ampliss,
but
John
you're
Ampliss, not-
dead fucking
Hell
dead.
yeah.
John
Pedro.
Ampliss is probably about old enough to be staked at this point, but go up and dog.
I like Two Guns comment. As much as I enjoy the film, I don't want to sit through a 4-hour version.
I'm sure it would be
Thank
slow.
you.
Let's keep it real.
I agree.
Let's
The
be honest.
95-minute cut is perfect.
Yeah, that's one of the
I
best
just
things
would
about
want
the
to see
movie.
some of those missing elements that we were talking about,
Yeah.
especially towards the end. Obviously, it would probably be slow because there would be a lot of like footage that probably wasn't meant for the movie. But
I just
So-
want to say, if
Maybe it's an editing
you got-
issue. Maybe it's an editing issue. Maybe the 4 hours or 5 hours of footage they shot for this thing. Maybe if they edited it different, would have maybe been different for me.
yeah, well, back in the day too, it was like hour and a half was like that's it. There was no fucking
Yeah.
such thing as 2-hour movies. You know what I mean?
the other thing, this
This was
movie had
like-
terrible distribution. It only got like midnight showings. It didn't get a full release, any of that shit. And if Two Gun, I'm calling bullshit. If you can
What was
sit
the budget on this?
if you can 75K, if you can sit
Okay.
through a 4-hour version of Rock and Robbie Live or Dylan's Horror Show, you can sit through a 4-hour version of Martin.
Your show is better than this movie. Cut it out.
Oh, shut the fuck up, babe. I mean, first of all, thank you. I appreciate it.
Also, back then too, all Romero's movies, starting with Night of the Living Dead, going forward, a lot of his movies were shown at midnight because he was known for that.
Yeah,
so that's probably where they stuck it, and then no one saw it.
Yeah,
Dylan kind of looks like James Franco. You know, you're kind of right, actually.
What were we saying a couple weeks ago? He looks like
You mean like the 127-hour James Franco with one leg, or
Josh Hartnett Franco
with one leg?
the one that I call one-legged Franco.
If you were in the gym a little bit more, you'd look like him from Spider-Man 2, where he's like, "Where were you, Peter? Taking pictures of your friend Spider-Man." Ugh, he touched me.
One-legged Franco.
As long as
apple pie.
The
Just
dumbass
great
version of him from 3.
Oh, for
that's what I'm just referencing.
Injury.
Yo.
doing like snowboards and shit, right? That's like with goblin over here.
So that'll conclude the Martin review, and that will conclude our last horror show of the month of June.
They're gonna say we got canceled.
That will conclude the last horror show.
No, of this month. What the fuck? This shit continues. This shit ain't never.
The lead-in was a little.
We're gonna be like
canceled
in the last drive-in. We're gonna be going at fucking set. I'll be 70 and Scarpad.
I think my shrooms are kicking.
We'll be recording Scarpad Talks from the grave.
And
God damn it, is this not the funnest
I
show?
want to just thank Dylan for last week. Got me in Facebook jail after the American Pie show that we did, where I told him, Dylan, don't say rim job. Like, oh shit! I just said, YouTube's cool.
Man,
No, it was
this motherfucker
Don't say
rim
job.
R-bomb on my
That was
channel.
something
I tried to get us off Facebook, but I didn't do it right.
About
And we ended up on Facebook, and the next day I get a warning saying that they pulled the show and I'm in Facebook.
Well, tell
See,
hey,
that's
hey,
the kind
tell
of
Face-
shaming we need
tell
to fight
Facebook
against.
So
I said
that
they
night-
can give me a fucking
that night-
rim job and
that
suck
night-
my nuts.
That night,
fuck Facebook then. I
percentage.
wouldn't do my show on Facebook then.
That
If you
night,
can't see a rim
percentage
job.
blame Fable went blame Fable. I always blame Fable.
Hey, remember
It was another
what
Dylan went viral.
Stifler says stuff when he's like, "Suck my dick," Ron Jeremy, when they're like trying to quote like famous artists or whatever.
But I
forget who
will
it is.
absolutely give Robbie and Verno, I think even Fable, credit when they told me that great thumbnails sells the stream. I think Robbie was the first to say that.
Oh, yeah.
So my American Pie
Dude,
thumbnail
Invisible
has almost
Maniac's
cracked
coming up
1,000
on
views.
like a 1K at some point.
I'm just gonna put I'm gonna put a girl in a bikini in every thumbnail I do from now
Sex
on.
sells.
stuff.
So wait till
I
Steph
don't
and
give a
I show
fuck.
next week where there'll be a nice looking girl.
I
Yeah,
know
you should've had
I have
Nadia
friends
on
on
the
YouTube
thumbnail.
that put like women in bikinis on anything they can, like thumbnails, like little fucking gifs. It works, man. And you know, if
Get
you
the
want to go that
clicks.
route, go for it, man. I say only go that route when it calls for it.
You know,
Like
fuck
Invisible Maniac.
fuck
Yeah, you gotta
Facebook,
sprinkle
bro.
it in a little bit.
What was that one joke where they're like, "Fuck Facebook" in the face? But for real, that American Pie stream was like the funnest stream I've had. Like, because I just
I
let.
forgot how great those.
I was like Stifler on that live stream, bro. I was just letting loose.
Dylan has memorized every line in that movie.
Cause I was like, hey, I'm on Scarpad's stream. I don't gotta worry about getting monetized, fucking up no monetization.
Right.
You know, I'm like, I'm about to go all out.
Hey, Chris.
And then Scarpad's like,
Hey, Chris.
blame Dylan. Hashtag blame Dylan. What up, Lawson?
What up, bud?
My Facebook
Dude, that
views
shit
and
was
tatters.
hilarious, man.
Dude,
I highly
I got
recommend.
a
It's on
week
my
ago-
channel too, so check out the American Pie review. I didn't get no flags from YouTube,
Yeah.
You weren't
No,
on
it was
Facebook.
Facebook.
A week
But
ago
I-
this
hey,
very
but
evening.
when I get, I probably got flagged for all the times you dropped them R bombs.
No.
Yes.
I've never said rape. Oh shit.
You son of a.
Blame Dylan.
Well, you might get tagged. You might get flagged for some of the intros I've cut together for you, to be honest.
Wait a minute. Hold
It's
on.
worth.
You can't
It's
say that
worth
word.
it.
I said it like 10 times in this stream, at least.
Is that
Well-
the word you were really talking about, or were you talking about?
Yeah.
Were you talking about the
Oh.
hard R? What do you?
No,
I don't
that's
know
what
what
I
we're
was
talking
talking
about.
about. Because when we talk, he'd just be dropping it. He'll be just dropping that shit like 5 times in
Yeah,
like
you don't
30
want to
seconds.
do the
I'll be like,
RAPE
"Dude."
too much, I guess.
Really? Well, shit,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to do when we talk about what we're talking about.
Gotta
So
find another word to
Right,
so
interesting.
normally,
compensate.
I'd be keeping
Sexual assault.
I'll tell you guys what show we're
Mean
doing week
sex.
to week, but or I usually tell at least you guys what the monthly shows will be. But I figured maybe I'll start trying to give you guys like the month slate when I got it ready. Since normally I try to give Robbie a heads up so Mike can get the thumbnails ready. So since it's the end of this month and it's the last show of this month, I'm gonna let you guys know what we'll be starting July off with, and then what we're gonna end July with. So we'll be starting July off with the
Hell yeah.
freaking infamous Jaws, because I believe it'll be like July 2nd, so like 2 days before July 4th. And Verno's the one who gave me the idea, because I forgot that that's based on the 4th. Then
Oh,
the second week of July,
Good
Frailty.
movie.
Been
Okay.
fucking dying to talk about this one. And then on the third week, we will be doing my little bros pick, a double feature of the Texas
Another
Chainsaw
double
Massacre
feature.
remake, and then the prequel, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The New Beginning. And then we'll be doing, speaking of Roger Corman, Humanoids from the Damn Deep.
I
I
saw
will
this
be
movie.
here for Humanoids from the Deep.
I
Okay.
saw this
That's the one
movie when I
that's the
was.
one you're picking. And
Yes.
Somebody's birthday is that week.
there is 5 weeks in July, but because we're starting Horror Fest 1 week early, I'm going to be starting Hatchet Fest at the last week of July, because originally I was going to have Hatchet Fest be in all of August, but there's 5 weeks in July. So
so what happened to Red Snow?
What was that?
Red Snow.
Oh, fuck, I had that shit on here too, didn't I?
Dylan done fucked up. He's like, after Horror Fest, we'll do
Yeah,
Red
Red.
Snow.
You mean Dead Snow?
That's what I was
Snow.
thinking.
Yeah, I
of that.
had that shit on here. You're gonna have to blame Evan. Is that on your birthday?
Might have been
What? When's your birthday? We passed
the
it, I thought.
15th. No, it's July 15th.
July
Bro,
5th.
you better restructure this
Well,
shit.
right
quick.
now, they
Mike
will
have to
pump
make
the,
Mike have to make
start the hatchet
a
the next
new
month.
thumbnail for me then.
That works.
And damn, I did have that on the 15th too, and then Evan.
God damn it, Dylan.
I forgot, man.
You
I was
traitorous
trying to
bastard,
think why I
you.
had Dead Snow on that place too.
I just love how Steph like brought it up live. Hey man, what about Dead Snow?
To Hannah Price
He
down
said
there.
Red Snow, and I'm
Right.
like, what the
Motherfucker,
fuck
Dead
is
Snow.
Red Snow?
Hannah Possession's definitely one that would be.
No, you know what it was? I forgot because I had his pick for From Dusk Till Dawn last month. So then I was like, Evan kept asking me if he wanted a pick. So I was like, what the fuck do you want? I need to know now before I tell Robbie. I'll figure
Hey,
it out.
Steph,
It's all tentative, but next week it's Jaws.
Next week is
Right?
Jaws.
Y'all are doing Jaws next week.
all I can say, Steph, is hashtag blame Dylan.
Yep.
What day
Make
is
it go
your
viral
birthday,
after the
Steph?
show
The
tonight.
15th?
Yep.
Put it back in there.
Coming soon to IG. Blame Dylan and his spectacular films.
And then let's see. And then Monday, Scarpad is doing
Harold and Kumar
Harold
go
and
to White
Kumar
Castle.
go to White
Oh,
Castle.
boy.
A classic stoner
Cheers to
comedy.
that.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
Digging.
And then we're gonna be doing a comic book show starting tomorrow. It's going live tomorrow. We're doing
Black
Steph
Science Volume 2.
picked up Black
was trying
Science
to say
round 2. It's Rick Remender's back.
Remember?
Rick Remender.
He'll remember your review though. He'll
It's a
remember
Rick Remender Love Fest, Black Science Volume 2. There's 8 volumes in all. I said to Steph, maybe we could do 2 and 3. Let's speed it up.
We'll start with 3 to 4.
But
Steph
Steph said let's extend the love because you can never get enough Rick Remender. So we're
It's
doing
true.
that tomorrow night at 6:00. Talking about Rick Remender again.
Boom.
Boom!
Holy shit.
Black Science.
Well, while we're doing this next Friday, because I believe next Thursday, Robbie will be doing the Comics of the Month stream. So next Friday, I'm going to be doing with Link and Fable. We're going to be talking about two movies that I've never seen, The Hitcher and The Hitcher Remake. It's a little double feature over on Blood Splatter Chatter. So, yeah, excited about that.
Hitcher's supposed to be coming out in 4K shortly. So
really?
Wait, can you see? Is that the one with Rutger Hauer?
Unfortunately, dude, they just took it off
nowhere.
HBO.
Yeah, it used to. It's hard to find.
Yeah, it's on, but it is for free. It looks kind of like shit, but it's on YouTube for free.
Oh, yeah, all right. That's the movie with the great,
aren't we?
What's that?
I said we're used to that. It looks kind of like shit.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, and the interesting thing is, earlier tonight, right before the stream, you guys, I was busy because I was purging my server. Hopefully, my changes will make things faster.
Oh, I thought you were being like, I ate a big dinner and I was purging, so I'm sorry I was late. I had my wooden spoon firmly in my throat.
Unfortunately, some of your accounts got purged along with things, but eventually I'm sure they'll get reestablished.
It'll all get ironed out.
Yeah, maybe.
I never heard of this Possession 1981 film.
It's a pretty big. I actually just came across it recently. I think it's starring what's the dude from Jurassic Park?
Yeah, Sam Keaton, right?
I saw it on a list.
Sam Neill.
Top 100 movies of the top 100 horror movies of the 80s. Like Rolling Stone had it at number 3.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it, but I've never seen it. So.
They put it on Shudder recently, and I guess it made like a big resurgence, and it was making waves. People were like, it was kind of a lost film in a way that nobody talked about. Possession, 1981.
I'll have to look into it. I thought you were talking about Possessor because you guys were taling about that earlier.
It's a great film. Possessor. You'll need to watch that and then watch mine and Verno's conversation because that was dope as shit.
Oh yeah.
Might be the best movie review I've ever been on.
That was definitely
present company.
It was fun. Speaking of, dude, A Quiet Place review with Steph and Nick from Comic Culture a couple days ago is up now. That was a lot of fun too. So check that out.
Yeah.
If you've seen A Quiet Place, which you have, so check it out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the.
Don't watch me. I don't got nothing going on.
All right. Well, I'll just say this.
Every Saturday, bro.
Tomorrow night, Rock and Robbie live on Pop Culture Philosophers, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Join me for a special edition of Rock and Robbie Live because we'll have the DC sneak peek. We'll be revealing the Action Fest lineup for 2023 for PCP Movie Night, and I'll be sharing my stories, pictures, haul, signatures, and all that stuff from Heroes Con. So it's my Heroes Con 2023 recap and report, and then Monday night, it's the finale of Crew's Choice. It's Joe Corallo's pick, and he picked Gandahar, which is a 1987 French animated film that you can't fucking find anywhere to watch. Luckily, some people have it on YouTube. You can watch it with the English subtitles. Just turn on the captions. But it's actually a really solid film and a good pick for Crew's Choice. So that's what we got coming up.
It's wild. I love the thumbnail. Just the look of that is intriguing.
It's a really cool film. And like I said, it's hard to find, but just go to YouTube, type in Gandahar English subtitles. I'll send you all the link. It's actually a really cool movie to watch.
Yeah, speaking of Second Sight with their Martin 4K, The Hitcher should be their next new 4K.
Nicholas Ray down here. Only Dylan, Robbie, and Scarpad will enjoy and get Possession. The fuck out of here, Nicholas Ray.
Yeah, go have a fucking seat in your pretentious section.
You won't get it. You won't get it, Vern.
No way.
Is it a character study about a serial killer? So, you're probably right.
Yeah. And Neil's right.
He's like, notice me, senpai.
Is it rough?
Must have some
Fuck
push
out of here.
in it.
I might watch it tonight.
Possession? I might too. It's on Shudder. Yeah.
Is it on Shudder?
Yeah.
And then you're gonna bump fucking Dead Snow for Possession.
Well, technically, it already got bumped. I'd have to bump something. I'd have to bump.
You better fucking
bump
change that
something
shit.
again.
God damn it. I'll never come back if you don't change
I
it
would
back.
just
to
make
This is
Steph
no
beg
big
for
deal.
it, that's all.
It is a big deal. I'll fucking never come
And I
back.
certainly won't beg for it.
Man,
So
you barely,
it's
you come back once a month, motherfucker.
Hey, shut the fuck up, man. I'm gearing up for Horror Fest every week, so fuck you.
Hell,
Don't give
Yeah, I'm
Robbie.
a busy man, dude. You know who I am? I'm in Charlotte. I'm in fucking Huntsville. I'm in Orlando.
yeah,
And
you've
Robbie,
had,
don't
you've
give
had
Dylan
plenty
no
of time
shit.
to do
He's-
all that shit now.
Dylan is still looking for the movie called Red Snow. So when he finds that,
2.
we'll be awesome.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is
Red Snow.
y'all
Where
motherfuckers
the
narrowed it down
husky
pretty quickly,
go.
though, didn't you?
Don't eat that
Yeah,
red
because I
snow.
remember you mentioned Dead Snow. I had to look at my. I had cool. I
I
had
thought
it.
you were talking
I
about
had
Red
it
Dawn,
sitting
Red
right in front of
Snow.
me saying Dead Snow. So
Yellow
show and
Snow.
tell. Who's got show and tell?
I got a couple
I
things.
know you got something.
I think I
Fable.
got it. I got a fucking dip. I can't believe this door hasn't been.
You
fucking
got something, bro?
yet.
Man, that shit ain't open yet.
Yeah, no,
That
Bruno's
door
got
ain't
show and
open
tell.
yet.
Bruno
Don't be
said show, no,
scared.
Bruno's got show and tell. He said he's got a dip. What do you got? Like a French onion?
No, I
dip?
don't really.
Like a fucking ranch dip?
I wasn't even going to show anything, but I actually do have this. I was just going to dip without showing it, but I did get a couple things.
Fable's like, fuck, I got a dip too.
I was just going to jip out without showing it. I do have the blob. I ordered that.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
excited to have
No slip
one of
up.
my favorite movies growing up, and it was one of those that when I watched it recently, I'm like, oh, it won't hold up, but it totally holds up. Still one of my favorite movies. And then this I haven't seen yet. I got this for Father's Day. I haven't so I'm pretty excited about that little John
That's a
4
great cover.
4K action. Yeah, so that's all I got. But I do got a dip, man. I gotta fucking go. You guys are the best. Great,
brother.
great pick, great review. I loved this, man. So
He's
I will
gonna
see
be like,
all you guys.
See, baby, you didn't even have to come in and tell me to quit this time.
Yeah, I know.
I just did it for you.
I've been getting a lesson about she has to ask me to do certain things. So this is perfect. I'm nailing it. But all right, you guys are the best. I'll see you guys next week. Later.
Later.
Brother.
He's going to eat.
Let's see them bad motherfuckers.
Yeah, I got some figures, of course. You guys know I love my Transformers. So I found this cool little company out of China called YOLO Park. And they make these like model kits. And sometimes they have these model kits that are really intricate. Some of them cost $200-$300, but they came out with this little subline called the AMK series. And they're only $30 a piece. But which is incredible because you see these figures and be like, how is that $30? It's incredible. But I got about 3 of them, and they're all from the Transformers movie, The Rise of the Beast. So first, I want to show off the Bumblebee
Nice.
got here. Pretty dope. He has some doors on the
Right.
back too, and everything moves on this guy. I mean, down to like the shin guards, the foot bends, twists. Even the legs open up like this so you can move them more. Like, it's insane, the articulation on these figures. Even his little ears move, which is insane. So yeah, $30, man, for this guy. And I also got the Optimus Prime,
That's a cool one.
Rise of the Beast. Awesome detail, like you can see on the legs, on the inside, all the molded detail there. It is just sick. That this thing is $30, and look how much bigger he is than him.
Oh, he's in scale, yeah.
They didn't change the price.
No.
It's the same price for both of these guys.
Yeah.
Amazing. The detail. This is better than action figures that cost $70, $80 in the States.
Yeah, it's better than McFarlane's doing right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then I also got the Optimus Primal, which is probably the best one. He has the most mechanical detail. Pistons, look at his back, and all this moves.
I love those blades.
Yeah, man, it's just insane, the articulation on these things. So yeah, I just wanted to show these off because I think these are some of the coolest figures. And if this company gets anywhere, it might be lights out for Hasbro and the rest of them at $30 a pop. This is amazing.
Do you know if they're gonna do the animal ones from that movie, like the rhinoceros and stuff?
What do you mean?
From the new movie, the the other ones, the
Beast
monkey.
Wars, man. You're talking
the,
about like fucking Age of Extinction or whatever. with
no,
Mark
this movie,
Wahlberg.
the new one where they have the animal Transformers, the
You mean,
gorilla.
like the cheetah and shit.
This is
Yeah.
it, Scott. This
No,
is not
That
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the gorilla that he's showing,
That's
bro. That's
Optimus
Optimus
Prime,
Prime.
bro.
Are you asking if they're gonna transform into the
No,
animals?
no. Well, they don't have the rhino. I'm talking about the rhinoceros and stuff like that, and the eagle.
Rhinox?
They do the other ones. Yes.
Oh, you're talking about the other characters. I don't know.
Right.
It's a Chinese company. I can't read
Right,
their
depends
website.
how those sell.
They might be coming out with it. Who knows? Who knows?
I'm sure it
But
just
Are they?
depends
Do
how,
they?
how
No,
people
those are
react
only
to those.
available.
are
Is that
insane.
mail order only, Fable?
Yeah, mail orders is coming straight from China.
Okay. Yeah, because they couldn't sell them here because the patent or whatever the Hasbro.
No, they're officially licensed. These are officially licensed by Hasbro.
But oh really? To
Yeah,
sell here?
official. Yep.
Oh, cool.
Oh, and it comes with like little face, more
Oh, so you
hands.
can switch the
stuff with
face
the
plate off.
Yeah, all of them have like extra little hands and pieces and stuff like that. You can have it on. Thing is crazy for $30. I just wanted to keep reiterating $30.
When
That's a
I
lot
saw
of-
that, I was like, no fucking way. I thought they'd be like 60 easy.
Okay, but I have a thought, and maybe even Robbie could pass that on to the guys that do Go Figures. I'd like to see when you guys do the toy reviews, some of these things are like hell on earth to get out of the box, the way that they're strapped in with, twisties and stuff you have to cut off and stuff. And some of them just come right out. So I like when you guys do unboxings, it'd be great to see if you talk about like how it is to unbox the figure. Because
well, it comes with a bunch of pieces. It's more like a Build-A-Figure, but it's like the best Build-A-Figure of all time. Like, I'm not even joking here. Like, like Marvel Legends, McFarlane Toys, they do not have nothing on this at this price point. Nothing. Not even close.
Cool. I guess I'll go. Of course, you know what week this was, boys and girls. The big one, the masterpiece, The Burial Ground came out in 4K. And what a package this is when we're saying the Shout Factory don't even give us a slip cover anymore. And then these studios like 88 Films, regardless of what you think about the movie, is putting out a package like this. And let me tell you, this was $26, brand new. 4K. It's got a great slip, fantastic artwork on both sides, really good artwork. Of course, you get a real extra thick case. You get this movie inside, you get a nice poster of the cover, a book about the movie, and then you get the Ultra HD and you get the movie on Blu-ray. You also get the full Grindhouse edition of the movie. As far as how it looks, it has a lot of grain because movies would back then, but the colors, because this is encoded in Dolby Vision, it really pops on a set that has Dolby Vision or HDR. So it looks pretty good on really, especially because all the zombies in this movies are very detailed. So you get a lot of good, very nice detail in the makeup. And it's got audio commentaries from historians. It's chock full of special features for $26. Support local film guys. I also went through and got some deals on stuff at a used store. I picked up Creed for like $2, $3. Never had it. Got The Hangover, the first one unrated on Blu-ray. Book of Eli. Movie I think I only saw once. I don't remember if it's good or bad. Drive Angry with Nicolas Cage, but looked interesting. And I like.
I haven't seen that.
I like. Was it good?
It was something to watch.
It's a movie. They made a movie.
They made a movie.
John
Classic.
Cusack. Yeah.
It's a great film.
This just came out on Blu-ray, so I picked this up because I remember I liked this. Romeo is Bleeding with Gary Oldman.
I haven't heard of that one.
And the 40th anniversary of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which I think is their best film. Love this one.
It's not their best film, but it's good.
I got this one used cheap. Schwarzenegger's Last Stand, which is okay.
Nice.
Transporter 3 didn't have this one, of course. 90s classic, Wedding Crashers.
2000s, but
early
classic.
Yeah,
The aughts.
2005.
Step Brothers, which I didn't have.
The aughts.
And finally, The Rock and Walking Tall.
The aughts.
And that's the haul for this week. Burial Ground is a highlight. run out and get your copy.
How's it feel knowing you could have gotten one of those sweet Transformers toys for only $4 more instead of Burial Ground?
I feel that along with the Transformers toys, they're both hell of a bargains at $29, 20, and this 26, because regardless, as I said, of the movie, with the presentation, all the historical stuff that's on here, if you're a fan of great packages, Burial Ground is a great
Respect.
package.
Oh, yeah.
And remember, as our quote Fable once again, as she said earlier, you must stand by what you love. Thank you, Fable.
Until you don't love it anymore.
That's right.
You got anything, Robbie?
Yeah, man, of course I do. All right, first up, latest issue of Horror Hound magazine is issue number 97. Big Hellraiser issue.
Bro, why you didn't tell me about that one?
All right, my bad. Fable, by the way, the new Horror Hound is all about Hellraiser. It's got an Evil Dead Rise bit in there, but this is actually a really solid issue put together. Lots of good stuff about Hellraiser.
Ooh,
I like Scream, but Horror Hound is good too. Like I read Scream and I read Horror Hound. They're really cool. All right. So I went to Heroes Con last week. We had Chris in the chat earlier from Lost in Comics. Had a great time with Chris and David and company. We were at the bar hanging out with John Lees and Alex Cormack. No big deal, because that's just how we live. You know, when you're part of the excitable PCP crew and you're out there at a con. But I got some cool stuff, and I'm going to be showing it off tomorrow night on my Rock and Robbie Live special edition. But I got some things that I thought were appropriate from Heroes Con to show tonight, including this print that Liana Kangas, good friend of mine, gave to me of Pearl. Look at that, y'all.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah.
That's nice.
That's dope.
Wow.
Yeah. Very happy with that. This isn't necessarily horror, but it is True Crime Funnies, the new Jim Rugg comic book. That he debuted at Heroes Con. He signed it, obviously. And this has got some really cool, brutal, fun stuff. You know I love Red Room, right?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
of course, I got to meet Ed Piscor again. So I'm showing you he signed my Red Room Volume 1.
Nice.
And he signed my Red Room Volume 2.
Oh, yeah.
Cover.
That's dope.
This motherfucker wrote 2022 on it. You gotta be bullshitting me, man. He wrote the wrong year. I gotta give him some shit over that. All right.
Is that when the trade came out? Maybe he's just writing.
He did, but no, he fucked up, man. Oh my god, that's hilarious. All right. So I met a dude there named Matt, who's been a fan of the show. He knows I'm into horror. He knows I'm into really out there underground comics. So bruh hooked me up. So he gave me this. So I met this dude. And he gave me this.
Nice.
He's like, I brought some comics for you because I knew you were going to be here. He goes, to Rock and Robbie, the Roger Ebert of comics, pick of the week. He says that me and my friends call you the Roger Ebert of comics.
Nice. Oh, yeah.
So let me show y'all what this motherfucker gave me. First of all, he gave me an adaptation of Maniac.
Oh, that's nice.
Which I don't want to bury the lead, but this might be the opening of Horror Fest. There are titties on that cover, but Dylan's not monetized yet, so I'll show you real quickly. Look at there's shit falling out of this. This is really cool and gnarly, and it's got there's all kinds of stuff falling out of this. So that's really cool. And then, this comic has a slip, bruh. Look at this.
What?
This comic has a slip.
No way.
Yeah, look at that.
What?
Wow.
How cool is that, right?
That's next level.
Yeah.
Another comic that has so they did Maniac 2, Roadkill.
Slipcover?
Yep. Look at that. Oh my goodness, it's a slipcover too, man.
Isn't it?
How cool is that? And there are cards attached to it and a sexy version of that cover with the butt shown. But dude, that's pretty freaking cool. And here's the best thing, because y'all know me. I did not know this was a thing. Maniac versus the New York Ripper.
Wow.
Bruh.
That's cool.
It's a team
What
up
is up with
mashup.
this? Right? Like, so super cool. So, Matt, if you're watching, thank you so much. Little tiny bits. There's a Lucio Fulci zombie book that they're doing. I got this there's all kinds of cool stuff in there. So that's
She
awesome.
was a poser.
Now, as far as things that I was seeking out to buy, I don't know. I felt a little. I was in an apartment building filled with rich people that were all beautiful. So I was filled with beautiful people, like surrounded by beautiful people all weekend long. So I guess, I don't know. I got really fucking horny.
And then you came here, and it's the same thing.
So all I was looking for was like underground comics that were like sex driven. So one of the things I got, and I'll show all of it tomorrow night. One of the things I got was Milo Banera's Butterscotch.
Hey, yo.
Volume 1.
Oh,
I was really looking forward to this. Can I show a page?
Yeah. Yeah, you can.
I can show these pages. But very sexy, cool stuff. Milo Manera, we all know what he does and what he does well. His butts and everything else.
I like
I'm really excited for this, y'all. I really, really am.
Butterscotch.
But I even got more because I was like, I even told Brian, the Brianiac was with me, and I was like, bruh, I don't know what it is. But this week, I'm just looking for horny ass, sexy ass comics. and I got some shit to show off. So I'm excited. So
yeah.
That's what I got for show and tell.
Those fucking comics were legendary.
Hell yeah.
That fucking New York Ripper Maniac is sick.
Yeah.
You know, Maniac's one I've been dying to do on the horror show.
Yeah, and not trying to, like, I would just go ahead and say this. We're opening Horror Fest. I'm not going to tell you what show, but the opener of Horror Fest is Maniac, regardless of what Dylan thinks now. That's what it is.
Yep.
Word.
Steph, you got anything you want to show, brother?
No.
All right. I figured not, but I got to always ask. I ain't really got much, I think. I think that what I got is in my hand, so make sure.
That doesn't sound too good.
No, I wanted to make sure I was trying to think if I had something else. I was looking around to make sure because you know how it is. You got a couple stacks of shit here and there, so I was trying to make sure I had everything that I got this week. So I got this after me and Evan saw The Flash. Scarpad was telling me how great this show is, and that Mark Hamill's in it, which Verno's not here to hear, but I got The Flash complete series.
Nice.
Does he play the trickster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The trickster, I guess.
That show really comes together at the end.
Yes, it
The
does.
problem is, if
Really?
they
That's when they
That was
canceled it.
pretty cool.
if they would have
And he
done a
helped me
second
on the
season,
score.
it would have been badass, dude.
Yeah.
I
Hell yeah.
thought this was. I've only watched the pilot so far, and I really enjoyed it. I
It
thought
does
this
get
was
better
gonna
as it
be like
goes along.
terribly cheesy, and it was
That
pretty
Danny
cool,
Elfman
man.
theme song, though, that Danny Elfman theme song,
Yeah.
is
I
basically
would have loved.
they were like I think what he did, and I'm sorry, but what I
Well,
heard,
Shirley Walker did the music.
he used like extra shit that he composed for the Batman score for the Flash theme,
Yeah.
but it also feels like faster. So I think he redid it.
Yeah, it'd been cool to get like if that
It's
Nicolas
very Batman.
Cage Superman movie ever came to fruition. Danny Elfman would have done like a Tim Burton did the score for all those movies, so it would have been like you know what I mean. Like he would have had like a DC universe like score theme going. You just sneeze, Robbie.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did
Bless
you
you,
hear
bro.
me? I thought I was muted.
No, I saw you, but I saw you do it.
Okay.
It's like a habit of telling people bless
Thank
you.
you.
I see that. I'm guessing he's command Captain Cold with his glasses.
I think so. I believe so.
I don't know. I've only seen the pilot, so
I think
'Cause
he's
I-
got to fuck with.
Chris Stuckman was saying that the only Flash movie we ever got was a pilot. So when Scarpad told me there was a complete series, like at least a one season show, I was like, I thought there was only like a pilot movie basically. And he's like, no, dude, there's an actual like whole season. So definitely
Nice.
excited.
Real
check
quick,
it out. And I
Two
like-
Gun and Kevin out there, Cherry Pop Tart. Cherry, I might have gotten a Cherry comic. So.
I like it's
Then
kind of
tomorrow night.
old school Flash art.
Yeah, that's dope, man. That's a cool
Yeah.
series to have, man, because it's really fun. It's a good fun series.
Yeah, I'm glad to own it, man. After especially watching the pilot, I was like, holy shit, this is actually really cool. You know, I love all that stuff, man. I mean, even like I'm a big Small Bill fan as well. So
It started feeling like they started giving a shit at that point. After Batman became a hit, it was like, okay, maybe we could sell some of this stuff, but let's make it more grittier.
Yeah.
And the costume looks really like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Different.
You can kind of see
Texture,
it.
yeah.
I've always loved that Flash costume.
Yeah, I think it looks really good.
When I was a kid and this was on TV for a very brief time, I fucking ate it up. I loved it so much, man.
Yeah.
And
then we got Lois and Clark, and that's all we had for a long time.
Yeah. And, since we're doing this movie this Monday on Scarpad's show, I used to have these on DVD, but I don't have them anymore. So glad to have these on the double feature, and the both got the unrated cuts. I'm surprised you didn't do a triple feature with the Christmas, but that one, these are the two you want to see. The Christmas one is
Actually, I just like the second one out of all three. I prefer 1, 3, 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think 2 is a great one.
I like 3.
Yeah.
It's just I always liked 1 and 2 better. They're more rewatchable to me, and I feel like the third one is Christmas time. You know, you watch it. But it's been a while since I've
the
seen
great
the
Neil
third one,
Patrick
so
Harris.
I'll have to check it out. But yeah, and it's got a digital code, so hopefully I'm able. It was redeemed by October 15, 2015. So we'll see if it's still
It'll
works.
work. It'll work.
Most of the time they do. I think, what is that one? But
Warner
you
Brothers.
tried to give me that Smallville digital code.
Yeah, it's Warner
That was gonna
Brothers.
work. That was the
They
first
expired.
time I've never seen a digital code not work that was so-called expired. They always seem to work. So that's a bummer.
It's because they were like, Smallville sucks. You can't have it.
Well, it is free. I think I think
It's on Hulu.
Hulu has the whole season, but I like Smallville.
Michael Rosenbaum is still one of the better Lex Luthers, though.
He's that's the only good part of that show. Let's be honest.
I like Tom Welling.
Yeah.
He wasn't
I wonder
perfect.
if
Don't condescend to me, Steph.
Another classic. I know Robbie
He
will
never wore the
agree.
costume, but we can forgive him.
I know Robbie will agree that this is definitely a classic. I know Scarpad will as well. I'm super happy to have this because I have like no Hammer films, and Scarpad just sent me the Dracula Prince of Darkness, and I have, what's the other one I have? I think it's freaking something Day of the Death one. It's a Christopher Lee one. I don't see it right here.
No, you got that Devil's Rides Out, too.
Devil Rides Out, yeah. And so I've been trying to get some of the Hammer films, and Scarpad said this was down to like $15, and so he sent it my way. So I've been dying for this one.
Fuck yes.
No slipcover, though. But we can
No slip. That bummer, man. This
that
is the
movie.
one I really wish I could get a slip for.
God,
I
I
can
love
sell
it.
you
Oliver
mine.
Reed
I got
is so
a
Yeah,
good.
why didn't you just send him yours, Scarpad?
No, I'm going to
Send him a
sell it
slip.
for 50
You don't
bucks.
need it. Who do you think has more slip in their collection? If you guys had to stack it up, you or Dylan.
Probably Scarpad. It would depend, like, yeah, because Scarpad just has more movies than me.
I don't know. It might be me, man. I got slips for comics now. So
Oh.
I do have a lot. I do have a lot of slips, but like I know I had gotten the Black Phone during Christmas because it was on sale, and he didn't get the slip. So there's certain movies that like he has the slip and I don't, and then there's certain.
I bet I got more. I bet I got more slips of movies that are good.
that are good. Well, I think that's a matter of opinion. But
Did they come
yeah,
out
man,
with
dude,
slip
this has a
covers for
4K
ninjas
scan
or-
on it, so I wonder if they'll ever try to give this a 4K.
Dude, I
release.
love
They
that.
haven't done any Hammer films.
Oh yeah,
under
they will.
4K,
Shout will always redo things, so they will.
Oh,
do
I'm
4K.
sure. But yeah, it's got a couple new features, new commentary. So I'm excited. And it says that the legendary horror filmmaker Terrence Fisher did Horror of Dracula and Curse of Frankenstein, which I didn't know he did those. So
He did all the really good ones, man.
Right.
that would make sense because I know that this is one of the best ones.
Oliver
It's
Reed's
up
I'm not
performance
as
in that is
familiar
amazing.
with a lot of the Hammer films.
Oliver Reed's
Couple of
performance in
them.
that is on the level of Lon Chaney Jr. in The Wolfman.
Yeah.
Like it's on that level. If
Oh,
not,
this came
maybe
before
more.
that, right? Or no.
No, this
It's
is after.
After.
And it was one of the rare movies that Hammer did. No, it's not really true, but it's an early movie that they did in color. 'Cause a lot of their movies were black and
wow.
white at that time.
I remember Larry Cohen because he did this Full Moon High, and he
Full Moon
kind
High.
of tried to base his his werewolf off of Oliver Reed's version. So
I still stacked it up as like one of the best werewolf makeup jobs I think I've ever done.
I
It just
agree.
looks so great.
Curse of the Werewolf.
Yeah.
Oh damn! I
Yeah,
gotta check
Curse
that
of the
out.
Werewolf is great. It really, really is.
yeah, I'm excited.
Oliver Reed, who most
rewatch
people
it.
will remember from Gladiator. He was in the Gladiator. He was like one of the first dudes that, like, one of the first rich dudes that like Maximus comes up across or whatever or whatnot. But
Yeah, he died when they made the movie. That CGI man.
yeah, right after. But he's such a fantastic, legendary actor, and he's so good in this movie.
Yeah. They did that other Scream Factory one, Paranoiac or something that Oliver Reed's in. Yeah, I'm ecstatic to watch.
I first watched Curse of the Werewolf when I was in middle school, and I was just transfixed by it.
Really?
Man. Loved it.
I might try to watch this tonight. Because I was debating on putting a Hammer film into horror.
It's a slower film, it's Hammer, but it's worth it, man. It's worth it.
I always loved the Mummy Hammer film that they
Yeah.
did. That was always such a classic when I was a kid. I'm not as well versed with the Hammer ones. I grew up like Universal Monster, like the classics. So I never really watched the Hammer ones, which is really a bummer.
They took the blood and violence a little bit further.
Like I know I saw Curse of the Werewolf I had seen, but I haven't seen it in years, like when I was a little kid. And then I saw the Mummy one, and then maybe one of the I think probably Curse of Frankenstein. And then I think I probably saw one of the Christopher Lee Draculas that I like, and it was probably horror Dracula. I don't know. So I know
the Hammer films just
about Hammer.
The Hammer films just kind of, when you see them as a kid, they kind of like, they scare you more than the black and white ones. Just the Mummy, just the makeup and everything, and the fact they can do blood stuff like that.
My whole thing was they turned me on more than the black and white ones because they had very sexy people in them.
Well, they had a lot of breast scissors in there, yeah.
Well, not just, they had very sexy people. Let's just
and
say
not the boobies.
Yeah, I'll have to get Curse of Frankenstein and then Horror Dracula. Those are gonna be my two next ones that I get. So I know I also got, what was the other one? Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell. That was another one I got bad sent me.
it's not the best one, but you gotta have it in the collection. So.
It's got great makeup. I love the makeup.
Yeah, Scream Factory's done quite a few Hammer films.
They've done a few,
they
and
do
then
more.
the rest of them you got to get on like Warner Brothers Archive.
Yeah, I feel like it's Warner Brothers Archive and then Scream Factory have done the majority. Like it was half and half.
Some
Then
of them,
there's
like on one of the Frankenstein films, you got to get like a foreign version of it. Like I think it's Revenge of Frankenstein.
Oh yeah, I think I remember you were telling me that when you were completing all your Frankenstein Hammer films. But yeah, that looks like it'll wrap it up for us tonight, guys. Definitely a great show as always. Thank you everyone for coming and hanging with us. Make sure you guys tune in this Monday night on Scarpat's channel, and then right after, Rockin' Robbie will be doing his show as always, and they'll have Steph and Scarpat will be doing their comic show this week. Fable will be doing his Saturday morning stream, and Vern will be doing his show Thursday night, I believe. I forget what he said he's doing.
Friday night.
Friday night. Okay. Friday night. And then we'll be back here Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, as always, to kick off July with Jaws. So
Perfect summer horror movie, man.
yeah, I thought, because literally I had Frailty kicking us off, and then they mentioned, like, Verno said something about Jaws being on July, like the holiday, July 4th, because we brought that up somehow, and I was like, how the fuck did I not think of that? Because, I usually try to line stuff like that up, so I am so hyped to review this with you guys.
Were you thinking about that before or after you bumped Steph's movie?
Huh?
Were you thinking about that before or after you bumped?
Why you
Shut
starting
the fuck up.
Don't unmute yourself to start trouble, bro.
Yeah, literally. Because I'm going to get Steph on your ass.
Watch this
I was
away.
gonna say, did
Walks
you
away.
think about that before or after you bumped Steph's movie?
I literally switched one fucking movie out. I put Frailty on week 2.
Well, you can't
Scarpat was waiting for that.
Coming soon, Steph's horror show.
He had you looking for Red Snow anyway, so he wouldn't have found it, so it didn't really matter.
No. What is this red snow?
The one you guys corrected me about.
Yeah,
I have a vision of red snow.
Always keep him in the chamber.
Oh shit.
Dylan,
Let's just
You
end the
love
show.
hammer fuck with their Cisco Amex.
Dylan, all I gotta say is sleep lightly tonight, my friend. Sleep lightly.
Well, everyone, you guys have a great
Over
rest
my
of your night. Have a great rest of your weekend. We love you, and we'll see you guys next time.
Pop, pop, boom.
Peace out, y'all.
Yeah.